Chapter 5408. Go home. No, they didn't lose their feathers this time, and they were all dressed up. Kuan-tai took the people and left first. Luo Chuan informed his master, Turtle Island Master, and the people from the military department of the Maluo nation. They didn't need to stay, and it was embarrassing for people to see it. After the world of a cup of tea, a huge tortoise shell appeared. Before the body arrived, the spiritual consciousness had arrived. On the huge tortoise shell, there is this human face, kind-looking. Luo Chuan hastily respectfully worshipped. Master, he didn't need to elaborate. The master of Guiling Island mobilized the space of heaven and earth and examined it carefully. Let's go back with me. The voice of the master of Guiling Island seemed very majestic. Jian Wushuang and others' foreign trade had been recorded, but the space was destroyed by others, and there were no clues at all. But the best eternal treasure, but it is carefully watched. Blood Luo Jing. Ancient cave house. These have to be checked carefully. Such a powerful treasure cannot be so simple. Luo Chuan did not dare to refute, and followed the turtle shell to return. But the real body of the Guiling Island Lord remained. It's just that in addition to him, there is also arrived here. The incoming person is the Fifth Order Emperor. He does not leave a name in the ancient times, and he does not have any name in the four great secret realms, but his strength makes the Sixth Order Emperor also bow his head. Island owner. Inheritor. Turtle Island Master's small eyes flashed. With such a powerful aura of the Fifth Order Emperor, who else could it be if it wasn't the inheritor? That ancient cave mansion was obviously not as simple as Jian Wushuang and others imagined. The top powerhouses among the inheritors are dispatched. Kuan-tai, who left, was not reconciled, and when he returned to Guiling Island to be entangled in whether to report the matter, he learned that the eldest Prince Rasha had broken through and became the Fifth Order Emperor, and as soon as he left the customs, he was the Fifth Order peak. He didn't hesitate and reported the matter directly. Rosa frowned. The Guiling Island owner has gone, how dare he fight for it? But with the banner of the Maluo nation, how dare he not go? At the moment, the army will be deployed to conquer the Sequoia waters. The Dark Sea. The world is depressed. On a deserted island, the skeletons of sea monsters are scattered. The dark clouds in the sky are so low that they can be touched by looking up, but in reality they are far away from the ground. The water in the sea has turned black under the gloomy clouds. This is how the Black Demon Sea comes from. The three Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the mountain break of the island, each recovering their strength. King White is okay, he can't use up his many sources, mainly because the divine body and the flesh are too weak. Fortunately, Gong Miao Yi also got the treasures of tens of billions of sacred stones that Gong Yun left for him from the cave. They were treasures accumulated by Xingxin Pavilion for countless years, and some of them were stored here by other strong men. Now they were all taken by the White King to upgrade the physical body and the divine body. Originally, King White was preparing to wait for the gods to grant the flesh and the gods, but he just received a shocking news. Both the divine body and the physical body exist, but he needs to take it by himself. As for where it is, everything has his own will. These words made Jian Wushuang laugh at the world for a long time. Gong Miaoyi used all his time to improve his control of Shui Luojing, and his strength has been significantly improved. In order to suppress her, King White must quickly improve his strength. Jian Wushuang recovered very quickly, and a trace of thought was a clone of Gong Miaoyi's body for a long time, comprehending the ultimate meaning. Especially the previous word, town. The ultimate meaning contained in it is very deep. Kendo. Jian Wushuang realized it carefully. He actually realized the sword intent from Gong Miaoyi's origin, but the opponent was not a Kendo practitioner. The illusion contained in the origin of space. How could there still be the origin of Kendo in the origin of Gong Miaoyi? The only thing that can be explained is that her father is a strong swordsman, at least an emperor. That makes sense. He doesn't care about so many, just comprehend it. A single word made him comprehend a lot of pure Kendo origins. For the 8th level of ultimate Kendo, finally there is a clear sense of it. After the punishment, it was suppression. The town is over, what's behind? Jian Wushuang shook his head, And now the town hasn't figured it out, he can't look so far. This time I practiced, very selfless. The three of them went forward together, unknowingly, on this deserted island, cultivating for thousands of years. Everything from the outside world is ignored. They are all top powerhouses, and they have been closed for 1,000,000 years, and hundreds of millions of years are not too long. For many emperors, an important retreat is several epochs. Of course, most of it took time to accelerate. Just like Jian Wushuang. The 1,000 times time house is not very expensive. Thousands of years outside, there are millions of years inside, and 1,000,000 years of practice may be just an epiphany, and I haven't felt that a long time has passed. The outside world has undergone earth-shaking changes during this period of time. The Mo Luo kingdom attacked in a big way and flattened Sequoia Island. Xingshan Pavilion was destroyed, and all the high-level officials were detained. Dozens of fifth-order emperors stationed in the vortex waters. The owner of Guiling Island is even more personal. In addition to these people, there are inheritors. Zhen Weiyang even had a battle with the owner of Guiling Island. That ancient cave mansion has been shattered. Can imagine that there is a lot of involvement. Not only because of the eternal treasure of the best. Although there are few top eternal treasures, they still can't attract inheritors, and there are several. In the end, the two parties discussed and wanted Gong Miaoi and two other mysterious emperors. Look for the whereabouts of Shui Luojing. Vortex waters. Several palaces face each other far away. It is said that they are strong from the two sides. In fact, in addition to the Turtle Island Master, there are also strong from the Maluo Kingdom. Although the Great Elder did not come, he also sent several Tier 5 strong to come. Meaning, on the inheritors' side, in addition to Zhen Weiyang, there are also the Tongtian Buddha that Jian Wushuang is familiar with, and Qishui Walker. Before entering the Temple of Qishan, they were all Tier 4 tops, and Qishui Walker reached the Tier 4 peak. But now, the three of them are all Tier 5 pinnacle powerhouses. The strengths are all against the sky. A true Wuyang can fight with the 6th order peak of the Turtle Spirit Island owner, although there is still the fear of the Turtle Spirit Island owner, but the truth is true combat power. These three people work together. Turtle Island Lord is really not an opponent. In the hall where the inheritor is located, Zhen Weiyang's high seat theme, this time it was Zhen Ling's preference for him, and first told him that there would be a chance here, but one person couldn't grab it, so he pulled the two of Tongtian Buddha and Qishui Walker. He was naturally the initiator of this time. Brother Zhenwu, the three of us are enough. There is no need to look for other people. Isn't it just an old thing that has become a good one? The three of us are enough to deal with. Qishui Xingzhe is very confident. Of course, I am afraid of calling other people. Come here, and the divided things will have one less copy. Zhen Weiyang considers a lot in his actions, unlike Qishui Traveler who has spent a lot of time on his own, and he is very unique in what he does. The Tongtian Buddha sitting on the other side laughed and said nothing. He didn't have any opinion on this matter, so he could do whatever he wanted. Chapter 5409. Among the three, the strength is very vague. However, in terms of opportunities, the Buddha of the Heavens is even better. The Buddha of the Heavens has won the first prize in the Tomb Mountain and has become the most popular inheritor. On the Tomb God Mountain, the three gods of the Qishan Temple are inherited, and there is no shortage of treasures and secrets. This time, it is the right to visit the mountains and play. Qishui was not bad either. It was originally from a special life, and the divine body was stronger than the special life conceived in the tomb of the divine. He is a divine body that is 10,000 times as soon as he appears, and since he is cultivated, what he lacks is the treasure and the secret method of the divine body. On the Tombshan Mountain, they have all made up for him. The divine body climbed all the way, the cultivation was the smoothest, and he also got the cosmic secret method of taking the divine body route. Now the strength is very powerful, and he is also a man of the wind on the Tomb Mountain. On the contrary, Zhen Weiyang has strong abilities, but he just can't jump out of a particular way. In general, the strength is very strong, and as a successor is very good, but it can be said that it is against the sky, not on the edge. No good. This is what Zhenling gave him. Fighting the divine body with Qishui, Although Zhenliang has the divine body of Zhenwu, it has only broken through 30,000 times when it reaches the Tomb Mountain. Now the basic divine body has reached about 40,000 times, plus the unique knowledge of the divine body, it is about 50,000 times at most. It's against the sky in the 4 secret realms, but it's normal in the Tomb Mountain. Qishui's basic divine body was broken 50,000 times. This is already the peak level of Tier 6. The spatial origin of the Tongtian Buddha has reached the realm of the black hole, with a perfect inheritance, and is no longer pursuing other things. Now he is devoted to creating his own secret method, and is taking the advanced route. The future is the existence that wants to reach the top. One is to walk the divine body, and the other is to walk the orthodox spatial origin. Just Zhen Wuyang has no goals. This opportunity is rare in a lifetime, and it is impossible to miss it, otherwise it will be too far behind other people. Fortunately, his current strength can still be comparable to that of Tongtian Qishui and his ilk. If he doesn't fight, he will have to be the bottom. Also shame them to the practitioners of the Eastern universe. The current Tomb Mountain is also lined with hills. Fengyu, Qishui, Tongtian, Zhenliang and others. But they are still the strongest on their side. The juniors do not lose either. In particular, Huiqing, who is in the world of Tongtian Buddhism, has always been ranked in the top of the ultimate Taoist monarchs, with strong strength. On the Tomb God Mountain, many Dayan immortals have been visited in batches over the years. Although the ultimate Taoist is less, there are only 1,000 people in total. They all know that in the future, these younger generations who master the ultimate way will be able to accomplish things. They are just escorts to lead the way, so they also value these younger generations very much. Although there is a gap in the source, they are unwilling to give up. The road to the peak of the future is not so easy to take. Everything is relative, the ultimate way is very strong, but a group can get stuck with the way, and climbing to the top is extremely difficult. For those of them who are not the ultimate way, it is difficult to reach the top, but it is much simpler than the ultimate way. With 10,000 ultimate emperors, it is not bad to be able to reach the top 5. This is still guided by the Temple of the Gods, and the manpower and material resources spent in it, plus the resources are countless. And there are not 10,000 ultimate emperors to train for the Qishan Temple. That's why it was relaxed and let the emperors like Zhen Wuyang also enter the tomb's sacred mountain for future consideration. Zhen Wuyang was in the main hall of the main hall, thinking for a long time, and said, "Our opponent, not in the face." He can't forget the entrustment of the true spirit, the opportunity that even the true spirit values very much, and this opportunity is not controlled by the true spirit, and it may fall when entering. Don't be such a trifle. On the bright side, there is only a Turtle Island owner, which is not a thing. Together, the 3 can suppress it. Brother Zhenwu, it's better to be like this. Tongtian Buddha said, "We spread the news, notify the people on the Tomb Mountain, and notify the entire 4 secret realms. It doesn't matter how many people come, but the alliance of the 3 of us remains the same." Qishui Traveler was a little unwilling, so I am afraid that it would attract a lot of strong people. If the chances are great, I'm afraid those great bosses will come, and then there will be nothing for them. Qishui quickly retorted, "Never, if this is spread out, not to mention the people on the Tomb God Mountain, the temple and the Elder Palace will send strong people to come, plus those old indigenous monsters. How can I it from these people?" No, Brother Qishui didn't understand what I meant. Tongtian Buddha paused, then turned to look at Zhen Wuyang and said, "Where did this opportunity come from? It was given by Master Jinling, no matter what decision we make. You have to notify Lord True Spirit first." This is a bet on Qishui Traveler's mouth. The 3 of them all have Dharmakayas in the Tomb Mountain, and Qi is undergoing a change. The 3 of them discussed it and decided to ask the True Spirit first. On the other hand, the owner of Turtle Island is also very entangled. A true Wuyang was enough for a headache, and as a result, 2 inheritors came again, both of whom were not weak in strength. One was powerful and could not be beaten to death. He is really panicked now. You reading www.akanshu. He invited all the other strong players that Calm had been watching from the outside world. Several Sixth-Order emperors on the west coast, and the Guiling Island owners are not very good at them. However, the people in the core waters don't look down on the open seas, and if they are invited, they will oppose him. It is better not to invite them. On the west coast, in terms of strength, the owner of Guiling Island is naturally ranked first. It has been at the top of Tier 6 for many years. If this is not the case, the army of the Maluo Kingdom would not dare to fight on the west coast. This is all thanks to the blessing of Guiling Island. Brother Turtle Ling, this thing is actually very simple. The master of Guiling Island followed the sound and looked at a young man with a toad face. Of course, he looked at the essence. The person who opened the mouth indicated that he was a young man in Yushu facing the wind, and he was dressed in white clothes like snow. It looks like a person, but it's actually a toad in a stinking ditch on the west coast. No wonder the inland sea looks down on these people on the west coast. The ontology didn't want to admit it, and each regarded themselves as a human race. But now everyone is sitting together, there is no difference between high and low. The Turtle Spirit Island master raised his hand and said, "Brother Tian-chan, you go on." "Brother Tortoise Ling, how are we going to open the ruins you mentioned?" Tian-chan arched his hands. The Guiling Island master was a little embarrassed, but this was the point. The treasure that opened the ruins now has not been obtained yet. It is the blood Luojing that needs to be inherited by Gong Miaoi. In fact, Tian-chan and others were almost inquiring about, they all knew who took it away, and now they sent people to search around. I think that at the moment we still need to find the blood Luojing first. Don't worry about the inheritors. We have obtained the method of enlightenment. Just go in directly. We haven't done anything to them, and it's not offensive. People of the temple, what else can we do? After dealing with the temple for so many years, they have also figured out what the temple does. Chapter 54:10. The Nalin family was ransacked, but also because Nilin was touched, they went privately to the blocked forest of 10,000 treasury and dared to sell their places publicly. Isn't this drinking the blood of the temple? It's not a pity to die so boldly. The same thing about the heavens back then. An extremely strong man slaughtered wantonly to plunder a Taoist inheritor. This is also looking for death. Although they are the Sixth-Order Emperor, they are dealing with the Fifth-Order inheritors, and everyone is about the same strength. Even if you kill the opponent, the temple will not be stupid enough to seek revenge on them. This can only mean that the inheritor is not strong enough, and he would like others. If you blindly protect it, but let the inheritors not be in danger, how will it become a major event in the future? Tian-chan's words awakened the Guiling Island master, and then he also understood the truth clearly. As long as it is not too much, the temple should not do anything to them. After discussing properly, they began to send people to look around for Gong Miaoy's whereabouts. It also issued a high-priced reward. Just by reporting the position of Gong Miaoi, 100 billion sacred stones can be obtained. Being able to catch Gong Miaoi can also get the shelter of several Sixth-Order emperors and countless treasures. This news directly made the powerhouses in the outer seas and the west coast crazy. Especially after knowing that Gong Miaoi only had the strength of the Fourth-Order peak, all the Fifth-Order emperors were dispatched, and even the Fourth-Order emperors were also forming a group to look for Gong Miaoy's whereabouts. This matter has caused a sensation for 100 years. The whole open sea is boiling, and other sea monsters are still catching, all dreaming of making a fortune. Zhen Weiyang and others jumped and cursed when they knew it. Fortunately, the real spirit also gave help, and the emperors of the Tomb Mountain can go. However, in secret, they informed the palace of the elders. As for the people in the temple, they have been strictly prohibited from touching them, and even let the people in the temple notify all the most powerful people about this matter, who will go and who will die. Bai Yi almost died of anger. There were no traces in the past. They ate meat and others drank soup. It's better now. Not only does it have no meat, but it doesn't divide any soup. This also allows him to lead people. He had to go and threaten those who were extremely strong. He finished offending people but didn't get any benefits. After receiving the news, the Senate Palace directly asked Wu Zhuo from the Law Enforcement Hall to lead people there. Of course, Wu Zhuo was in charge of the town and the others went to fight for it. Treasures are all trivial things, and they can also be inserted in the land boundary in the future. But this time is the most reasonable reason to shoot. Suddenly, the entire West Sea was in chaos, and countless powerful men swarmed in. In chaos, the ancestors of the great Xia kingdom were also dispatched. The old chauffeur man didn't bring anyone, but if he brought it, he would leak his flaws. He still learned this news in the palace of the elders. The people in the Wuzhua belt also quietly settled in the chaotic domain. Jian Wushuang and the others who are still in retreat in the Black Devil Sea don't know anything about this, and they are still working hard now. Thousands of miles away from this deserted island, there is a team of strong men led by the Fifth Order Emperor, sneaking under the sea. In the team, a Tier 4 Pinnacle Emperor suggested, "Senior MO, there is an unknown island in front of you, so why don't you go there and see?" These people were all formed temporarily. Today, a Fifth Order Emperor can easily recruit a dozen Fourth Order Peak Emperors. After all, although the target of the search is the Fourth Order Peak, but it can be found by so many big men, how can it be ordinary people, ordinary Fourth Order Peak Emperors? I am afraid that they are not opponents at all, and they must be led by the Fifth Order Emperor to be sure. Even if they are lost, they can at least save their lives, and sell a position to earn some money. 100 billion sacred stones. If you can catch it, everyone can get 100 billion, and there are several Sixth Order Emperors' promises, and the whole Shihai will not go sideways in the future. You're afraid that you are not foolish. Do you think that everyone else is stupid and will hide in such a conspicuous place on the island? As soon as this sentence came out, many people laughed. The Fifth Order Emperor interrupted, "Well, we are here to find people, not to play, but now that we have met, we will take a personal look. Don't miss any opportunity." "Yes. Senior MO, it is as thin as a silk." The Tier 4 Peak Powerhouse who was the first to put forward an opinion sneered from the bottom of his heart. This is the benefit of being strong. What the two said was the same, but the reply they got was very different. If he is a Fifth Order Emperor, the request he made was naturally to check it out in person. When he broke through the water, many people still mocked. He didn't care about this. What if it's really on that island? When the time comes, he will have done a great job. When the water broke out, the sea water on his body had not yet fallen, and an explosive breath erupted, directly evaporating the seawater, and then the figure rushed towards the deserted island with the sound of breath bursting. Someone. King White was stunned for a moment, then stood up. He had stopped training long ago, and he needed treasures to improve his physical body and divine body. After all the treasures of tens of billions of sacred stones were used up, he naturally stopped. Now his divine body has barely broken 30,000 times, and he has also cultivated the heavenly demon's unique knowledge given by Jian Wushuang, and now his divine body has increased to 50,000 times. It's a small peak. Now the combat power is directly comparable to the Sixth Order level, plus the origin. It is already able to break the wrist with the Sixth Order Emperor. He kept squeezing a sigh of relief. After acquiring the origin, he wanted to release, but was hanged and beaten by someone. It was Jian Wushuang desperately trying to let him escape. This time his strength was restored to the Sixth Order Emperor. He must find Kuan Tai to take revenge, and he must kill the opponent. Now when I meet someone, the corners of my mouth are raised, and I am looking forward to it. The Fourth Order Emperor. King Bai shook his head, and when he approached, he found that he was a young man, and he was still ugly, and he couldn't help sighing. The visitor was a little surprised, and then leaked a surprise, which really made him meet a living person. They have been in the Black Demon Sea for several years, and they met a practitioner for the first time. The young man was surprised at first, and then a little surprised. He frowned and said that he was not good enough, and he couldn't see the strength of the other party, so he might be a strong one in hiding here. As for whether it was Gong Miaoyi and others, he didn't know, because he couldn't even see the other party's appearance. King Bai was a little impatient. He was stared at by an ugly monster. He felt a little uncomfortable. He said viciously, "Boy, what do you look at? Get out of here, otherwise." When speaking, King Bai revealed his face. When he saw it, his eyes shrank suddenly, and he took a breath of cold air. You! He even forgot the rumors, so excited. Thinking of this, he quickly rumorsed it to the senior MO, and then forcibly calmed down. King White sneered, thinking that the other party was frightened, and then he was taken aback to find that someone behind him rushed towards this side. Jian Wushuang in the time room also opened his eyes, feeling a strong breath approaching, and feeling a little irritable in his heart. The ultimate way has reached the 7th floor. He has a hunch that he can break through by adding a word behind the town, but for some reason he just can't think of what to add. Chapter 54:11 Town. No, Jian Wushuang shook his head. Suppression is even worse. Kendo needs to be fierce. Suppression is too tactful. It can be strangled. Why do you suppress it? Town. Jian Wushuang broke through the ground directly, stood beside King Bai, staring at the 4th Order Peak Emperor in the air, leaking a smile. Before he could speak, a group of people appeared in the sea area behind, headed by an ordinary 5th Order Emperor. Much weaker than Kuntai, it seemed that he was a poor ghost who didn't even have the eternal treasure. This kind of 5th Order Emperor, also in the same rank, is also very embarrassing. The 4 secret realms are rich in products, but they are mixed up like this: either they have just broken through, or they are unwilling to take risks. Even if you don't want to take risks, just like that Kuntai, you can be a dog for people, and you can get an eternal treasure for a few years. Don't want to take risks, and don't want to be a dog. Still thinking about becoming stronger, that's only the pie in the sky. Don't say it, it's a pie in the sky today. Don't do it. When he received the rumors, he was first overjoyed, and directly led people to rush over, with unstoppable momentum. But when he saw Jian Wushuang and King Bai, he was stunned again. Isn't it just a few tier 4 peaks that are good? Why these two can't see the strength of each other? For a time, there were many thoughts in my mind, and the comparison of appearance was undoubtedly accurate. The young emperor who was the first to spot King Bai pointed to the two below and said frantically, "Senior, if I found it, I will say there will be someone here." Said and looked at other people with a wry expression. This time he remembered a lot. But before he was happy, Emogon slapped it out and directly stunned the young emperor. Emogon had an expression of hatred for iron, and flung his sleeves, then leaked a smile, looked at King Bai and said embarrassingly, "My nephew, I don't know the manners, and I hope friends will forgive me." Changing faces is faster than turning a book. Although everyone is surprised, they understand. Even Mogan couldn't see the opponent's strength, and these people couldn't see clearly. Let alone catch the opponent. I'm afraid they are not opponents. The safest way now is to pass the entire position one by one. Emogon had a sacred stone of transmission on his body, and the moment he found it, it was passed to the master of Guiling Island. 100 billion is stable, and the key is to seize the other party. Now it seems that there is no such opportunity. The opponent's strength can't be seen clearly, and it's too much. The young man who was beaten was a little dazed. When he wanted to speak, the emperor, who was short-handed and quick-eyed behind him, slapped him on the head again and stunned him directly. Jian Wushuang turned his head and glanced at King Bai. Both of them were also very confused. Obviously, this group is hiding something, and it is related to them. Do it, boom. Jian Wushuang exploded directly, and a sword cut through the deep dark clouds in the sky. Killed a 4th Order Emperor in an instant. His kendo has become stronger again. The White King's strength recovered well, and with a quick press, everyone was frozen in the air. Watching Jian Wushuang slaughter these people. The young man who was knocked out was by Jian Wushuang casually and still came to King Bai. "Keep this person." These 4th Order Emperors were too weak, and Jian Wushuang was too lazy to fight, killing them all. Only the 5th Order Emperor named Emogon remained. At this moment the opponent almost knelt down. Reluctance to take risks is to cherish life, and reluctance to be a dog cannot let go of dignity. Compared with dignity, life is still under pressure, otherwise he would not dare to take risks. "Friend of Taoist, I will tell you everything I know." Emogon knelt down and looked at Jian Wushuang with fear in his eyes. Jian Wushuang frowned as he looked at him, and he didn't know how this person had cultivated into a 5th Order Emperor. If you think about it, Maybe the other party was also a zealous cultivator, but after reaching the emperor, he couldn't break through and he slowly fell. Too fateful, not good. Practitioners, if they want to be strong, the first thing they give up is their own destiny. Jian Wushuang was also very fateful, but at the critical moment, he dared to fight. All of this, it was not spelled out. At the time Jidao, he almost couldn't come back. The physical body, after he succeeded in the 9 exercises, condensed the 10 exercises and almost fell. If you don't work hard, you will have no strength, and without strength, there will be no dignity. The order must be right. Obviously, this 5th order emperor has forgotten his previous pursuit. Stand up. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily. He couldn't see others wasting. Especially the practitioners who are greedy for life and fear of death are even more disgusted. After being yelled at, Emogon glanced at King Bai first. He knew at a glance that one was the strong, and in his eyes, there was only the strong. Although Jian Wushuang threatened his life now, it was all because of King Bai. He felt that as long as King Bai nodded, he would survive. If you don't get up, I will kill you now. Stand up and fight with me. If you win, go. If you lose, you will be left with your life. Jian Wushuang held the simple long sword upside down and looked at each other deeply. The 5th order emperor, ordinary level. There is no powerful treasure. This is a good whetstone, just to verify kendo. But Emogon was too careful and still didn't want to get up. Jian Wushuang said coldly, "Don't make a move. Let King White accept the means." Hearing these words, Emogon was stunned for a moment. A 4th order emperor was able to order a strong man who was suspected to be a 6th order emperor. The 6th order emperor, in his opinion, is the pinnacle. No one dares to threaten him. He does not need to be a dog for anyone. He is a big power, and he does not need to look at anyone's face. Standing up tremblingly, Emogon said hoarsely, "How can you promise to let me go?" Hearing these words, Jian Wushuang couldn't help laughing. "You are so confident to beat me?" Jian Wushuang stared at the opponent. Emogon moved his body, and when he looked at Jian Wushuang, there was not much fear in his eyes. According to Jian Wushuang's methods just now, the opponent was just a 4th order extreme powerhouse, not a 5th order emperor. How could he lose? This is indeed the case. Jian Wushuang does not have a 5th order emperor, but now he is no longer on the same level as a 5th order emperor, and he once even pitted the 5th order emperor Kuntai. There is no difficulty in dealing with a tier 5 ordinary emperor who is greedy for life and fear of death. Mogan had no hatred for King Bai, only awe. But it hated Jian Wushuang, a 4th order emperor who dared to do so, not because there was a strong backing him behind him, but he didn't dare to say it. This, have to take an oath. Jian Wushuang slashed directly and yelled, "Only you also swear an oath, no matter whether you win or lose today, you will die." This person was hopeless, and Jian Wushuang didn't treat him as a human being, so he shot directly. Hearing these words, Emogon had this despair in his eyes. "You shameless child, if you don't have the protection of the elders in your family, the old man will be able to destroy you at will." But after Emogon took a shot, he realized that it was a bit difficult to move casually. Boom. Chapter 54:12. Without paying attention, Emogon was smashed into the island below by Jian Wushuang's sword, directly shattering the small island. Gong Miaoi also walked out of the time house. When he saw everything in the outside world, he didn't make a move and stood side by side with King Bai, watching Jian Wushuang fight the 5th order emperor. Her current strength has skyrocketed again, and she has already broken through to become a 5th order emperor, and she is not an ordinary 5th order emperor, but a 5th order emperor with this top eternal treasure. I wanted to get rid of these people. It was discovered that the strength of the White King had improved too quickly, and now it has 6 levels. But Jian Wushuang did not improve too much. She really didn't understand why the two were so different in strength that King Bai could still listen to Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang appeared in her source, she understood, thinking that King Bai was also threatened by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang held the sword in both hands, his eyes closed slightly. At this moment, he and the sword became one. It was very simple. It was very difficult to condense the characters with the sword. Kuan Tai, who rushed out of the ruins, was a bit astonished, but he was still able to display his full strength, turning his hand into a knife and heading straight to Jian Wushuang. Facing this fierce blow, Jian Wushuang still did not move. "They'll be in front of you soon." King Bai was panicked and reminded loudly, "Do you want me to make a move?" Gong Miaoyi on the side was also a little surprised. She didn't expect Jian Wushuang to fight like this. Obviously, it is necessary to step into a desperate situation and seek a breakthrough. "Town!" When the hand knife pierced his eyebrows, he yelled, then opened his eyes. Looking at Mo Gan, Jian Wushuang leaked a sneer. "Seal!" Click. Mo Gan's body actually started to freeze, and at the same time a surprised expression appeared on his face. All this is frozen at this moment. Jian Wushuang didn't make any moves, just a glance contained a lot of sword intent. The moment Mogan solidified, he had already fallen. King Bai looked at him with trepidation and let out a sigh of relief. The ultimate kendo broke through. Jian Wushuang was very excited. It was not only a simple breakthrough, but also a qualitative leap in his experience of kendo. Jinfeng. The two words have similar meanings, and the purity of kendo is also related to this. In fact, there is no need for Jian Wushuang to think about it, to pursue more, just change his mind a little bit. Zhen and Feng is the best answer. Suppress and block. All in one go. The 8th level of the ultimate way is far less simple than Jian Wushuang thought. The more you reach the realm of consummation, the more you will experience. Jian Wushuang faintly felt that after Zhenfeng, 2 more words were needed. In the future, he can also deduce slowly based on these 2 words. Slowly landed, looking at the young man who was knocked out, Jian Wushuang pointed out and directly awakened him. Opening his eyes and looking around, he had no time to stand up, and quickly pulled back, but was wrapped in Gong Miaoyi's sleeve robe and pulled back again. Talk about it. The eyes of the 3 of them were very cold. These people obviously knew them and found them with a purpose. Jian Wushuang had a bad premonition in his heart. These people weren't the powerhouses of the Maluo kingdom at all, so how could they look for them? Even if you offend the Maluo kingdom, everyone knows that Gong Miaoyi has the ultimate eternal treasure, and he won't be so crazy. The frightened young man shivered. He didn't dare to have any resistance, and said everything he knew. The more Jian Wushuang people listened, the more ridiculous. A high price reward? 6th Order Emperors have come out. Gong Miaoyi's eyes were deep, and the luster in his eyes was a little dim. The ultimate eternal treasure, if it is said that it is precious, it is indeed top-notch. The 5th Order Emperor is crazy, and the 6th Order Emperor will hunt down. But not yet, alarm the entire Shihai. The West Sea is endless. There are also many eternal treasures of the best, almost all 6th Order Emperors have. What's even stranger is that even the inheritors were alarmed. Gong Miaoyi used to be relatively weak and knew very little about inheritance, but Jian Wushuang knew it. The inheritors were really poor before, and the Emperor Fengyu had an eternal treasure in the entire primitive universe, but since going to the Tomb Mountain, these people have almost all been greatly promoted. The immeasurable Buddha of the 3rd Order Emperor before is now the 4th Order peak. It is also possible to face the top 5 emperors, without the ultimate eternal treasure, but also the peak eternal treasure. The pattern will never be so small. Hearing from this person, there is more than one inheritor who appeared this time. It is estimated that several 5th Order Emperors have come, otherwise it is impossible to fight with 6th Order Emperors. I just don't know who it is. Jian Wushuang frowned, glanced at King Bei's voice transmission and said, "Ask the people from Keeman what is going on." What he hates most now is being chased and killed. The eyes turned, and with just one glance, the 4th Order Emperor town on the ground was killed, and the bones were turned into powder. Gong Miaoyi leaked a hint of shock. When Jian Wushuang entered her body, she discovered that Jian Wushuang was different from Emperor. Although the source was very powerful, it was still different from Emperor. In her opinion, Jian Wushuang's origin is more like a Taoist monarch. Jian Wushuang soared into the air and said lightly, "Let's go, shouldn't stay here for long, we have already exposed." According to what the 4th Order Emperor said, Emogon must have notified those 6th Order Emperors that he would come without leaving those 6th Order bosses. If the Sixth Order Emperors can join hands, I am afraid that the plan is huge, and maybe they can be found quickly by some kind of treasure. Follow me. King Bai seemed to have inquired about something, and directly wrapped Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoyi with a wave of his hand, and directly tore the space into the cracks. Flying in the turbulence of space. One step across the sea. Jian Wushuang whispered quietly, "How is it? Have you heard of it? This time it's not easy. Lord God told me, let us go to Qingmang Island, where someone is waiting for us." King Bai's face also became solemn. As soon as his news came out, the gods replied, apparently there was a plan from the gods behind it. This time, they really got caught up in something big. Jian Wushuang was also quite shocked when he heard that it was related to gods. Originally planned to calculate Rosa, it seems that the plan has to be changed. The origin of King White has been successfully refined, and the cause and effect have been eliminated. As long as King White regains his strength, he can help him win the beast weapon. Of course, this is the worst plan. He prefers to compete with his own hands. Once he got the accessories of the beast god soldier, he didn't need to stay in the realm, but he also went to the heaven realm, went to the senator palace to find Wu Zua, and asked him to send himself to the Tomb Mountain. If he knew, Zhenling asked him to go to the Tomb Mountain by himself, I am afraid it would not be so easy. Sure enough, the plan couldn't keep up with the changes. His plan was originally to go to the Tomb God Mountain, but he really wanted to go down to the Tomb God Mountain to find the Tomb God Mountain. There was no chance to go there, but there was the most terrifying special life. Chapter 54:13. Vortex near the sea. The Guiling Island Master and the others just received the news and started directly, but they couldn't get in touch with Mogan and the others before they were far away. There is a problem with intelligence, and Mogan has fallen. A Sixth Order Emperor who is good at deduction frowned. He has long been deducing. Gong Miaoyi's strength has greatly increased. He is definitely not an ordinary Fifth Order Emperor, and there are two other emperors around him. A strong one. The master of Guiling Island looked a little ugly. After waiting for so long, Gong Miaoyi still couldn't be found. Now that he finally got the news, he disappeared again. On the inheritor's side, many strong people have already gathered. In the hall where Zhen Wuyang is located. Snapped. Qishui Traveler directly shattered the teacup and cursed, "The people on the Tomb God Mountain come, forget it, why are the people from the Yuan Lao Palace also come, what use is the group of old trash, they are just like that, for the rest of their lives. I can't make a breakthrough, so why grab the opportunity with us? Brother Qishui, don't be too angry. Even if the strong man in the Yuan Palace comes, he won't necessarily fight us." Tong Tian Buddha was still very calm, watching everything. Zhen Wuyang was silent, but he cursed secretly from the bottom of his heart. The opportunity of the Tong Tian Buddha was saturated. Naturally, this is not bad, but he said lightly. The Senate Palace came from the Law Enforcement Hall, and Wu's was sat in town. 2 Sixth Order Peak Emperors, 10 Fifth Order Peak Emperors. Each is a complete origin path, and just the 2 Sixth Order Peak Emperors can sweep everyone present. Although they are all forces under the command of the true spirits, they really want to fight for treasures, and no one will let anyone else. How to grab it then? Things are a bit beyond our control. Zhen Wuyang said, "Brother Qishui, don't you have some friendship with the senior businessman? Look." Qishui's face changed, and he coughed a few times. First he took out a new teacup, poured himself a cup of tea, and took a sip. Zhen Wuyang and Tong Tian Buddha looked anxious, and it was not easy to urge them. "Senior Shang, I do have so much friendship." That's the case, but the powerhouses who have risen a little earlier know that he and Shang sure have risen together and are considered the same generation, but the two have great grievances. When they were in the bloodthirsty continent, the two didn't agree. He also arrived at the Tomb Mountain. I heard that Shang is now a Sixth Order Emperor, and he has been carefully cultivated as a treasure by the true spirit. Only then did he change his attitude, and even descended from his seniority to win relationships. Shang was taciturn, and he had this topic with his peers, and it was a good deal. Zhen Wuyang smiled and said loudly, "Brother Qishui has made extensive friends. I admire Tong Tian. If I can get Senior Shang to come this time, I think I will be at least 90% stable. These words are very useful to Qishui. Then I will ask? Ask. Haha. Several people smiled similarly. Qishui really went to ask. Tomb of God Mountain. In a cave mansion halfway up the mountain, Qishu's law body got up and walked out. Look up. The tomb mountain is divided into 88 floors, and Qishui is now on the 40th floor. To climb higher requires strength. Flying is forbidden on the tomb's sacred mountain. Of course, if you can break through the 60th floor, you can fly whatever you want. Along the stairs all the way to the 64th floor. The cave mansion of the only ultimate emperor Shang is here. He was the only person on the 64th floor. Senior Shang. Qishui smiled and shouted in a low voice. A wave of ripples gradually rose in the cave, and a man with white temples but a very young face walked out of the cave. Qishui. After replied, Shang couldn't help but vomit. How many times have we said that we are still worthy of brothers? Qishui's complexion was shocked, and he solemnly said, Don't, you are now a 6th-order emperor, naturally my elder. You. Shang pointed to Qishui, and finally shook his head helplessly. If he is really based on seniority, he will have to call Qishui an ancestor. When he was young, Shang's Taoist couples were special beings, and they were in the same vein as Shou Qishui since they were young. He also knew Qishui because of the Taoist companion, and the relationship between the two behind them was stiff because of their similar strengths. Now that it was resolved, Qishu's posture really made him a little uncomfortable. Let's go inside. Shang waved his hand, and the two entered the cave. Said to be Dongfu, here is a miniature world, in which there are still common customs, and the place where the merchants live is above the top of the cloud. Regret the court. The two sit opposite each other. You are the law bodies. A breath exhaled, Qishui realized that Shang was only a law bodies, but the power made him feel a huge difference. Shang did not hide it, nodded, and poured tea on Qishui himself. Qishui was surprised. After a few years of absence, Shang's strength seemed to have grown a lot, and now he couldn't figure out a law body. This time, it looks like something is going on. Shang self-evident. Qishui didn't go around in circles, and said straightforwardly, There is indeed a little thing. Little things. Little things. But after listening to Qishui's narration, Shang's eyes changed. This trivial matter is not trivial. When Kam his deity went outside the territory, the true spirit was planning this matter himself. I am afraid that Qishui and others did not know it. I go. Seeing the other party so decisive, Qishui thought it was to give him face, and stood up immediately, a little excited. Following Shang, at least he can drink soup, maybe he still has a chance to eat meat. He has seen Shang's deity, the trashiest treasure in his body, is the ultimate eternal treasure, and the opportunity he has obtained is even more unimaginable. But my deity is not here, this time I can only let the law bodies go. Shang Wei smiled. Qishui has no objection to this. He couldn't see through this law body alone, and his strength was at least the 6th-order pinnacle, coupled with the ultimate emperor, the super-perfect origin. The strong in the Senate had to be swept away. After getting a strong foreign aid, Qishui had some confidence in front of Zhen Wuyang and Tong Tian Buddha. 2. I said the ugly thing first, since the four of me are teaming up, do we have to change this division? Qishui glanced at the two of them. With such an identity as Shang, he definitely disdains to mention this kind of thing. He has to handle it in advance. This is natural. Zhen Wuyang nodded and said, In this way, I will take out 20%, and the remaining two of you will take out another 20%. Tong Tian Buddha doesn't matter. A few of them were 3, 3 and 4 before, and Zhen Wuyang took 40%. Of course, all of this has to be based on the treasures obtained together. If you get the treasure by luck, it belongs to your own. If 3 people cooperated and grabbed a treasure, it would be divided into 3, 3 and 4. Now Zhen Wuyang took out 10%, and the two of them took out 10%, which is 3, 3, 2, 2. Qishui wanted to say that you really Wuyang is the green onion, as much as Shang now. Is it just because of the initiator? Chapter 54:14. If only Zhen Weiyang can bring them in, that's fine. Now everyone has the opportunity to enter. How could it be so divided? The three people talked dryly in the hall, and finally decided on a distribution plan. The three of us are 20% each, and the remaining 40% go to the senior Shang. Qi Shui and Tong Tian Buddha stood together. Anyway, no matter how they were divided, both of them were killed. They wanted to raise the quotient just like Zhen Weiyang. Zhen Weiyang forbeared his anger, but could only agree. When he turned his head to look at the Tong Tian Buddha, Zhen Weiyang leaked a meaningful look. Sure enough, the smartest people generally don't speak much. Tong Tian Buddha, from beginning to end, he either nodded or shook his head. He didn't do anything, so he took 20%. Somehow Qi Shui invited a thigh, and he was even the initiator, and in the end, it was all cheap to let Tong Tian Buddha alone. After a few people took their attention, Shang also came. He came very low-key, and few people knew Shang. Except for some inheritors, almost no one knew him. Even the people in the Senate's palace don't know Shang. Respectfully presented the merchant to the main seat, Zhen Weiyang and others began to study the key to opening the opportunity, Blood Luo Jing. Qingmeng Island. Key. Jian Wushuang was shocked and said, "Elder Qingmeng, is this what the gods said?" Jian Wushuang couldn't believe it. Super ruins. In ancient times, the cave house of the Lord of the Universe, the place where the gods were born. A series of things made Jian Wushuang a little confused in his head. They obviously just happened to enter an ancient cave and watched Gong Miaoi get the ultimate eternal treasure. How could it be the key to the super ruins? I don't know about this, but the Lord God has ordered that this matter can only go to the core members, and the rest are not allowed to go. He looked at Gong Miaoi with a bad look, and murderous aura leaked in his eyes. Gong Miaoi panicked. Since she met Jian Wushuang, no good things have happened. She was either being chased and killed, or on the way to escape. Now someone came here to kill her. Jian Wushuang played with the jade board on his thumb and pondered for a while. Gong Miaoi was really useful to him now. The ultimate way broke through to the 8th layer, and there was a clear path for the follow-up. It doesn't matter if you keep it worthless, kill it if you kill it, it doesn't matter. And many more. Gong Miaoi took a step back, his face changed, and said indifferently, "Do you know why Shui Luo Jing is called Shui Luo Jing?" With that, she waved her hand to summon Shui Luo Jing. The bloodline rises. It is the blood corpuscles of countless donated blood, crystal clear. This is made of blood condensed. You can't take it away at all. I am dead, and the blood Luo Jing is gone. Hearing these words, Elder Qingmeng was stunned for a moment, and put away his killing intent. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and said, "We didn't say we want to kill you either." "Huh, you despicable villain, don't pretend to be a good person here." Gong Miaoi rarely tore his face and directly cursed Jian Wushuang. Regarding this, Jian Wushuang was not angry at all, and quickly pressed his hand, causing everyone to step back. His mind power law bodies in Gong Miaoy's body began to forcefully occupy Gong Miaoy's origin. In an instant, Gong Miaoi fell to the ground with a painful expression on his face, but he couldn't move. "Raise your hand and take a breath." Gong Miaoi fell into Jian Wushuang's palm. "Okay, let's go straight away." Elder Qingmeng, the 6th Order Peak Emperor, saw Jian Wushuang so casually tidying up a 5th Order Peak Emperor, and he couldn't help leaking a surprised expression. He knows the details of Jian Wushuang, and as a descendant of the gods, he knows more things than the ordinary elders of Kimen. Jian Wushuang is no more than a Taoist, but with such a powerful strength, he can easily control the 5th Order Peak Emperor. In fact, it's not so strong. The main Jian Wushuang has the mind power body, which can enter the source of the practitioner. As long as the source is not particularly strong, the mind power body of Jian Wushuang can turn into a miniature black hole. The source has not reached the emperor of the black hole realm. Unstoppable. Of course, it is not easy to get in. Otherwise, Jian Wushuang could walk sideways in the 6th Order Emperor. Go straight. King White was a little surprised. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. "This matter can't be trusted. Many people are still waiting to catch us. The gods have given them an accurate location. Just go there and open the ruins." "Still in the Black Devil Sea?" Jian Wushuang frowned. He was afraid of those unwilling to leave, so he had been searching around the Black Devil Sea. Elder Qingmong explained, "The Black Demon Sea is so big that you may not be able to meet those people. Even if you do, you can solve it easily." This first-grade elder is very confident. The Sixth Order Peak Emperor, a complete set of the best eternal treasure, the treasures on his body are not weak. This is the confidence. In addition to Qingmong, there are two Sixth Order Emperors, Zishan and Lanyu. The strength of these two is not average, both are at the top level. In addition to these three people, there are also a full 30 monarchs with masks, all of them at the top of the 5th rank. This huge force is the result of countless epics planned by the gods in the West Sea, and now it is finally put to use. All of them are dedicated to following the gods. You reading www. Ukanshu. Com is by no means an ordinary Kamen. For example, Xianyuan Depan was also the elder of the Kimen, but between the Kimen and the clan, he was more inclined to the clan. This kind of person would not work. There must be enough benefits to be able to schedule. The dead man is different. Let him hit the east wall to death, so he won't hit the south wall. Each of these people is like a dead man, absolutely loyal. This time the gods have ordered, all follow the orders of King Bai and His Royal Highness Wushuang. Zishan's voice was very low. Jian Wushuang was relieved when he heard these words. He didn't want to be a marginal man. Being able to be the leader is still very important. King Bai doesn't care about this, he only pays attention to one point, that is what Qingmong said, the physical body and the divine body that suit him are both in that super ruin. This time he had to fight. If he doesn't get the right physical body and divine body, he will not be able to regain his absolute peak. It is not impossible to refine the divine body and the physical body by yourself, but the cost is too high. He was able to restore Tier 6 combat power and spent tens of billions of treasures, the key of which was the unique knowledge of the heavenly demon, which made him improve a lot. But these are not enough. If you refine it yourself, you have to break the tradition. Rebuild the foundation, and then steadily improve. The flesh is okay, and the price of a high-grade flesh is very average. But the divine body is difficult. He is now complete in origin, comparable to the ultimate. The divine body really wants to go down, and it can break 70,000 times. But where can I get these 70,000 times the divine body? Without 10,000 epics, he would not be able to reconsolidate the peak divine body. Originally thought that the gods had already prepared for him, but he didn't expect to have to grab it himself. Tidying Gong Miaoi, Jian Wushuang followed the elder Qingmong, and soon reached the Black Devil Sea. The cold wind was violent, and there was this biting cold. Chapter 54:15 Suppress, Seal 1 Careless move, and Emo Qian was cleaved by Jian Wushuang's sword, landing on the island below and shattering the already small owl. Gong Miaoi stepped out of the time pavilion. Observing the outside world without making a move, she stood side by side with Bai Junwang, watching Jian Wushuang engage in combat with the Tier 5 Emperor. Her strength had surged again, breaking through to the level of a Tier 5 Emperor. Moreover, she was not an ordinary Tier 5 Emperor. She possessed an extraordinary eternal treasure. She had initially intended to shake off these pursuers. However, she noticed that Bai Junwang's strength had increased too rapidly, now reaching Tier 6. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang hadn't experienced much growth. She couldn't understand why, with such a disparity in strength, Bai Junwang still listened to Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang appeared within her origin source, she understood. She thought Bai Junwang was also threatened by Jian Wushuang. Suppress. Jian Wushuang held the sword in both hands, closing his eyes slightly. In this moment he and the sword became one. It was simple to solidify the word with the sword, but much harder to achieve the opposite. Kuan Tai, who emerged from the ruins, was somewhat astonished but managed to display his full strength. He transformed his hands into blades and headed straight for Jian Wushuang. Facing this fierce strike, Jian Wushuang remained motionless. It was about to reach him. Bai Junwang grew anxious and loudly exclaimed, "Should I intervene?" Gong Miaoi, on the side, was also surprised. She hadn't expected Jian Wushuang to go to such lengths. Clearly, he was pushing himself to the limit, seeking a breakthrough. Suppress. Just as the palm knife pierced his forehead, he angrily shouted, then opened his eyes. Jian Wushuang exchanged glances with Mo Qian, revealing a sneer. Seal. Mo Qian's body began to solidify, and at the same time, a surprised expression appeared on his face. Everything froze at this moment. Jian Wushuang hadn't even made a move. There was just a glance containing a significant amount of sword intent. At the moment Mo Qian solidified, he had already fallen. Bai Junwang watched anxiously, finally exhaling a breath. The ultimate sword Dao breakthrough. Jian Wushuang was excited. It was not just a simple breakthrough. He had made a qualitative leap in his understanding of the sword Dao. Suppress and seal. The two words had similar meanings, and the purity sought by the sword Dao was also related to this. In fact, Jian Wushuang didn't need to overthink or pursue more. A slight change in perspective was enough. Suppression and sealing. In one breath. The 8th level of the ultimate Dao was far from as simple as Jian Wushuang had thought. The closer he got to the realm of perfection, the more he experienced. Jian Wushuang faintly felt that behind suppression and sealing, 2 more words were needed. In the future, he could slowly deduce based on these 2 words. Descend slowly to the ground, looking at the young man who had been knocked unconscious. Jian Wushuang pointed at him, directly awakening him. Opening his eyes and glancing around, he didn't have time to stand up. He hurriedly crawled backward, but Gong Miaoya's sleeve enveloped him, pulling him back. Speak up. The gazes of the 3 were cold. These people obviously knew them and had come with a purpose. Jian Wushuang had a bad feeling deep in his heart. These people were clearly not strong individuals from the Mo Luo nation. Why would they be searching for them? Even if they had offended the Mo Luo nation, everyone knew that Gong Miaoyi possessed an extraordinary eternal treasure. It shouldn't drive them to such madness. The terrified young man trembled, too scared to offer any resistance, and spilled out everything he knew. As Jian Wushuang and the others listened, the situation seemed increasingly absurd. A sky-high bounty? Even Tier 6 emperors are involved. Gong Miaoya's eyes were profound, but there was a dimness in their gleam. An eternal treasure of top-notch quality was indeed extremely precious. When a Tier 5 emperor went mad, even a Tier 6 emperor would pursue. However, it shouldn't have reached the point of alarming the entire Western Sea. The Western Sea was vast, and there were numerous eternal treasures. Almost every Tier 6 emperor possessed one. What was even stranger was that even the inheritors had been stirred. Gong Miaoyi, in her past weaker state, knew little about the matters of inheritance. But Jian Wushuang was well informed. In the past, inheritors were indeed impoverished, with only Emperor Fenyu possessing an eternal treasure throughout the entire original universe. However, since they went to the Grave God Mountain, these people had experienced significant improvements. Wuliang Buddha, once belonging to Tier 3, had now reached the peak of the Tier 4. Moreover, they could now confront Tier 5 top-level emperors directly. Even those without top-notch eternal treasures had peak eternal treasures on their persons. The scale was by no means small. It was said that more than one inheritor had appeared this time. It was estimated that several Tier 5 emperors had arrived, as otherwise, they wouldn't be able to contend with Tier 6 emperors. It's just that Jian Wushuang doesn't know who they are. Jian Wushuang frowned and glanced at Bai Junwang, transmitting his voice. Ask the people from Kuei organization what's going on. Right now, he hated being hunted down the most. His eyes moved, and with just one glance, he suppressed the Tier 4 emperor on the ground, turning his remains into powder. Gong Miaoyi revealed a hint of astonishment. When Jian Wushuang entered her body, she discovered that Jian Wushuang was different from an emperor. Although his origin source was powerful, there was still a difference compared to an emperor. In her view, Jian Wushuang's origin source was more like that of a Dao Lord. Jian Wushuang ascended into the air and said lightly, "Let's go. It's not suitable to stay here for long. We've already been exposed." According to the Tier 4 emperor, Mo Qian must have informed those Tier 6 emperors. If they didn't leave soon, those Tier 6 old monsters would arrive. Being able to make Tier 6 emperors join forces, they probably had a huge agenda, maybe relying on some treasure to quickly find them. Follow me. Bai Junwang seemed to have sensed something, waving his hand and directly enveloping Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaoi, tearing through space and entering the gap. Flying amidst the chaotic flows of space. Crossing the sea in a single step. Jian Wushuang transmitted quietly, "How's it going? Did you find out?" 9:48. "This time it's not simple," Lord Xinling informed us. "We're supposed to go to Qingmeng Island. Someone is waiting for us there." Bai Junwang's expression also became serious. His message had just been sent out when the response from Xunling arrived, indicating that there was indeed a divine plan behind all this. This time, it seemed they had gotten involved in a significant matter. Jian Wushuang was quite shocked upon hearing the connection to Xunling originally planning to scheme against Luosha. It appeared that the plan needed to be adjusted. Bai Junwang's origin source had already been successfully refined, and the karmic ties had been resolved. As long as Bai Junwang restored his strength, he could help Jian Wushuang obtain the beast god weapon. Of course, this was the worst-case scenario. Jian Wushuang preferred to personally strive for it. Once he obtained the components of the beast god weapon, he had no need to stay in the earth realm. Instead, he could go to the heavenly realm, find Wu Zue in the Elder Palace, and have him send him to Grave God Mountain. If he knew that Xinling wanted him to go to Grave God Mountain by himself, it probably wouldn't be so easy. Indeed, plans couldn't keep up with changes. His original plan was to merge with the Tao at Grave God Mountain. However, if he really wanted to search for Grave God Mountain in God's tomb, there was simply no opportunity to do so without merging with the Tao. There, the most terrifying special life forms existed. Chapter 54:16. In the end, the Real Spirit told them, "Just wait, the chance will naturally come." Sure enough, within a few days, Zhenling gave a place. Guiling Island Master and others are leaving quietly, and Zhenwuyang and others are also sneaking quietly. And the people in the Senate Palace have already reached the Black Demon Sea. The Tomb Mountain, the 88th peak. Zhenling stood there watching everything. The Xuanwu Hall Master behind him asked in a puzzled manner, "My lord, there is no need to take such risks. It is safer for me and Qinglong and others to break in directly." Even if you try hard, you will not be allowed to enter the old tortoise. I have always suspected that you are not the puppet that was refined at the beginning. If you are transformed by someone else and you have all the treasures, then it's a big loss. Zhenling's small eyes looked at Xian Yi slantingly. He always felt that Xian Yi had too many secrets in his body, which made him a little bit unable to see through. Why did that senior choose a bastard? Don't go find Qinglong? Qinglong is not reliable, so I should go to Zhu Yi. I just found Xian Yi. This is very strange, since the predecessor introduced the Temple of Qishan to the primordial universe, and reached an agreement with the original consciousness to take away the god and screen the strong in the primordial universe. In the name of Xian Yi, he spread the seeds wildly in the primitive universe, trying to find the future powerhouse planned by time. Although it can't be found, who knows if it's true or false? Xian Yi knew that it would be useless to say more. He did a lot of extraordinary things, but if he didn't do this, he wouldn't be able to keep the Temple of Qishan in the future. If you say who is the most loyal in the Temple of Qi, he is more loyal than anyone. Because he has this human heart. Zhenling sneered and then said, "Give me something, you go back, you are not welcome here." Yes. Xian Yi's figure was a little lonely, and his short vicissitudes of life disappeared on the Tomb Mountain. Looking at the leaving figure, Zhenling sneered. I really treat myself as a human." Turning a small square seal in his hand, he stepped out in one step and went directly to the Black Devil Sea. "What? Master True Spirit." A group of people from the Senate Palace hurriedly bowed to see him. "Take this thing, you can't get in without it. Remember, everything is respected by the inheritors, but they cannot be noticed." "Yes." Then the True Spirit disappeared. He has never thought about selfishness. The establishment of the Senate Palace is also to serve the inheritors and plan for everything in the future. It's just that those puppets don't understand his intentions. Only Xian Yi understood, but Xian Yi couldn't be regarded as his own. No matter how loyal the other party shows, his heart has changed. What's the use? He won't believe it. The people in the Senate Palace took Shaoyin and started to dive, but they were not ready to go first, but were ready to wait for everyone to show up again. This is the people who are waiting for the inheritors, waiting for Zhen Wuyang and Shang. The people on the bottom of the sea at this time. Gong Miaoyi urged Luo Jing to mobilize blood, and countless lines wrapped the tombstone, causing the tombstone to begin to sink. Are you going to open? Jian Wushuang turned his head and looked behind him. The tombstone descended and another tombstone rose. What happened? King Bai stepped forward and wiped the tombstone clean. With the previous deduction, he recognized it quickly this time. Three Kings Court. This is a place name. A name in the ancient times, the prestige is not weak. King White was also taken aback and said, 3 kings? Could it be the 3 of them? With reminiscence in his eyes, King Bai recalled the ancient times. Molo River. Molo time and space. The Qishan is the overlord, and the power spreads throughout the long river of time and space. Just like the current temple in the 4 secret realms, it is absolutely invincible. But in addition to the temple of Qishan, there are also several major forces. These forces are not as good as the temple of Qishan, but they are also famous, just like the hidden Kimen and Shadowzong. I dare not be an enemy of Qishan temple in front of him, but there is also this fight in private. The 3 Kings Court is such a superpower. It was a superpower built by the 3 strongest men, and there were many masters of the universe under his command. The 3 of them have joined forces to fight against the gods, but unfortunately they are not opponents. For the stability of the long river of time and space, the gods did not kill the 3 of them. The ancient catastrophe destroyed the Maluo River, and the entire time and space river was destroyed along with it, and the 3 Kings Court was naturally destroyed. The original White King, who had just stepped into the long river of time and space, was just a small person. Whether it was the 3 Kings Court or the Temple of Qishan, he was an untouchable superpower. So when I saw these 3 font sizes, I was shocked. After the shock, I was puzzled. The writing on these 2 steels was different from what he had seen in ancient times. There is also that Foyigo, he has never heard of it. If he is weak and has never heard of it, it is normal, but the strong who can fight the 3 kings, will he be an unknown person? Obviously not. And the gods were born here, are they the people of the 3 Kings Court? Jian Wushuang looked anxiously beside him and asked, how is it? King Bai said everything he knew, and Jian Wushuang frowned as he listened to him. After listening, he yearned for the long river of time and space again. The splendor of ancient times is indeed unprecedented. Maluo River? How many long rivers of time and space are there in the starry sky? Jian Wushuang recalled the rivers he saw in the starry sky. The 9 broadest rivers and hundreds of tributaries. The long river of time where the original universe is located is very dim, and it is the weakest among the tributaries. Let her try this tombstone again. There was loneliness in King Bai's eyes. After thinking about the past, he felt depressed. For a while, I missed the past a little bit, but unfortunately no one in the 4 great secret realms today can talk to him. Perhaps those people in the Yuan Palace also met in the 4 secret realms. Although he was plundered to the 4 secret realms, he was pretending to be dead and hidden by the gods during construction. The blood-colored lines were cut short by Chi before they even touched, and Gong Miaoyi also snorted, which was obviously backlashed. No way! Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. Isn't this a fool? No, let them do it. When they were about to try again, a powerful atmosphere from the outside was approaching and interrupted them. There are strong people approaching, stop them. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily, and he retreated to the end, standing side by side with King Bai. The White King took a step forward. I don't know if it was stimulated just now or what happened, suddenly a little tragic. Jian Wushuang, who stood at the back, wanted to pull. King Bai shook his head and walked straight to the front. A group of Xiao dare to swallow it alone. The speaker is the master of the Turtle Spirit Island, and his strength is undoubtedly revealed. An angry shout came from another place, miscellaneous. Listening to the voice are two groups of people. Jian Wushuang also knew another group of people, it was Zhen Wuyang and others. The cave was opened directly, everyone was suspended in the air, and the sea was receding. Unscrupulous. The entire Dark Devil Sea was shaking. Chapter 54:17. A huge tortoise shell appeared, and hundreds of millions of miles of seawater were instantly evaporated. Zhen Wuyang was not to be outdone, and directly exchanged heaven and earth, and the dark clouds sank to the bottom of the sea. Originally, everyone was hundreds of millions of miles deep under the sea, and suddenly seemed to be on the ground, and even dark clouds appeared on the soles of their feet. Without the dark clouds, the sky was white and slightly blue, and the sun and stars were dazzling. Since the Black Devil Sea is gone, this sea area may have disappeared. Jian Wushuang stood at the back, swallowed, and said inwardly, "Does it need this? Is this kind of sky-reaching method used to scare people? There are not many sixth-order emperors on the side here. It doesn't need to be like this to scare people." For those of you who are familiar, cross-blood Luo Jing. Chishui Walker is even more domineering, directly leaking out of his body and transforming into a colorful 4 different beasts. The Guiling Island Lord snorted coldly, and took the initiative to follow the Baijun Wang headed below. "Friends of the earth, we are all people from the realm who can cooperate, and we can't afford the inheritors." "Just you." King Bai raised his finger at these people, revealing an expression of disdain, and then said, "Just you choppy, and want to get the treasures of the 3 kings, it's just a foolish dream." Suddenly, a force comparable to that of the highest level broke out, and directly squeezed everyone. King White forced to increase his strength, and his divine body and flesh were rupturing, but he didn't care. The Shang following Zhen Wuyang was very low-key. He didn't intend to do anything, but when he found that King Bei's strength was a little bit beyond the accident, he slowly took a step and stood up. He stood there, and that space was his. Jian Wushuang stared at the opponent fiercely below. That familiar feeling made him understand that the other party is the ultimate way and the ultimate emperor. Don't do it. The other party is the sixth-order emperor, the sixth-order ultimate emperor. Jian Wushuang rumors frantically, preventing the White King from going to die. Although he couldn't know the specific combat power of the opponent, the 4 words ultimate emperor were irresistible. Indeed, no one knows the ultimate way better than Jian Wushuang. If it is the deity, Shang can suppress them with one hand, and even if the White King is restored to his peak, he will definitely not be an opponent. This is the ultimate strength, not to mention the realm of the person in front of him, which has been higher than everyone's imagination. Zhen Wuyang and the others are very relaxed. There is a business, who can block them? King White sneered, "It's just a Dharmakaya." But after another thought, Shang was far beyond him and the master of Guiling Island in the control of the world. Although it is the Dharmakaya, the gap is still very large. The Shang's Dharma body is only 10% of the deity's combat power, which is also comparable to the best. Not the sixth-order peak can contend. The sixth-order emperors are divided into 3 levels, ordinary, top, and peak. And Judian, that represents the limit of space, or the divine body has reached the limit. With 6 bodies broken 60,000 times, he is already an absolute powerhouse. It's just that in the realm, the requirements for Judian have been reduced a lot. Just like the patriarch of the Nalan family, he is not worthy of being called Judian at all. Only the wide-eyed Tianzuan of the heavens, Wuzhua of the Yuan Elder Palace, and a few palace lords are complete and supreme powerhouses. When King White was at his peak, he was also a complete top, and he was also the top powerhouse in the top. He once pressed Guangmu and Bai Yi's law body to beat him violently. The gap between Zhu Dian and the sixth-order emperor is still very large. It's just like the ordinary origin way, the same as the ultimate way. The sixth-order emperor of the ultimate way is already comparable to the supreme powerhouse. The main business route is the cosmic secret method, and he has not pursued pure combat power at all. He has to reach the top in one breath before considering combat power. Otherwise, relying on his ultimate way, first cultivate the space to consummation, and in the entire Chishan temple, no one except the true spirit is his opponent. The 4 major hall masters and the 5 major demon masters all had to step aside. The divine generals once under the command of the gods are all ultimate emperors. They have reached the top level without any breakthrough ideas. They can only be divine generals, not divine masters. After feeling the ultimate way, everyone calmed down. The people of Guiling Island Master are a little bit insightful, and they are all up-and-coming generations. Although they don't understand, they also understand that this is probably the top power among the inheritors, and they really have to go head-to-head and can't fight. Jian Wushuang glanced around, brought Gong Miaoyi to the side of King Bai, and said loudly, "Senior, Junior Rong, when it is the opening of the ruins, if you want to fight, you will also go in and see the treasure before you fight. You little baby talks interestingly, the old man likes it, so let's open it first." The master of Guiling Island leaked a smile, alleviating the stalemate. Jian Wushuang sighed with relief when he saw this. The current situation was beyond their control. He turned his head and glanced at King Bai, shook his head, and motioned not to move his hands. Once he did it with his current strength, he couldn't intervene at all. There is also the possibility of fall, even if the identity is reported. He didn't believe that Zhen Wuyang and the others would give up the opportunity to fight for treasures for him. Besides, he is now mixed with the people from Keeman. After that, the other party will have a reason, and it will not be too much to kill him directly. The Tongtian Buddha has kind eyebrows and kind eyes. At this time, he also came out to be a good person and said, "Little friends, you are here for such a long time, you shouldn't be waiting for us." Then he pointed to the tombstone. "Senior, there were originally 2 tombstones here. Shui Luojing can only open 1 tombstone, so it can't be opened at all." Jian Wushuang said all the things he had just concealed. There were quite a few 6th-order emperors present. Jian Wushuang didn't dare to conceal too much, so he didn't mention the words above, and all other things were said one by one. Everyone's expressions changed as soon as they couldn't open it. This person is very cunning. Seniors don't believe him." Luo Chuan looked at Jian Wushuang viciously. Jian Wushuang frowned, his breath soaring for a while, and he shouted angrily, "The 4th-order emperor, there is no place for you to speak. If you dare to speak insultingly, don't blame me for being polite." The aura on his body has reached the 5th-order emperor, which is regarded as reaching the threshold. A Tier 4 emperor was not qualified to come here at all, and he dared to yell at Jian Wushuang. It was simply looking for death. Hasn't the other party thought about it? Can't get in and out? Jian Wushuang is not a threat. Just remind several 6th-order emperors around him that they can kill Luo Chuan if they make a little movement when they shoot. It's no wonder that the people who mix in the Maluo country are not as good as the prince. This mind is very unsuitable for mixing in the dynasty. The retreat shuts people up silly. Maybe the people and things you've been in contact with throughout your life are not as good as those who sell sesame seeds on the streets of ordinary townships. But after all, he was the disciple of Guiling Island Master. Jian Wushuang didn't say much, and Luo Chuan closed his mouth at the sign of Guiling Island Master. Rasha, standing behind, sneered. And behind Luo Sha, there were 2 people standing, a pair of father and son. Jian Wushuang hadn't noticed yet. If he saw it, he would be surprised at the terrible fate. Chapter 54:18. Just as the atmosphere solidified again, a terrible breath came from a distance. Among them, the 6th-order emperors were not a minority, and their strength surpassed the side of K-Men and Guiling Island Lord. The Senate. "It's not too late, you guys haven't even started fighting." The visitor sneered, carrying his hands behind his back. Zhen Wuyang knew the people who came, because these people were followed by a group of inheritors. The inheritor Jian Wushuang, who appeared this time, didn't know much. The Wind and Rain Demon Lord was also there, and he was also the 5th-order Peak Emperor. Behind her, Jian Wushuang also saw an acquaintance. The 10,000-star god. Now he really is the Emperor of Heaven. He is already the 4th-order Peak Emperor, and 10,000 ways are unified, and he has become the Emperor. It is not very strange that the origin of Wanxing was almost complete at the beginning, and it is normal for the emperor to become emperor through the combination of the Tao for thousands of years. The fourth order peak, the speed is fairly fast. In terms of combat power, I am afraid that it is not weaker than the general fifth order peak emperor. Forgot to introduce the deputy head of the law enforcement hall of the Grand Elder Palace, Situ Nan. The voice just fell. Not only the Guiling Island master, but the elders on the Keeman side could not help but take a breath. Cool air. Lan Yu immediately explained to Jian Wushuang and King Bai. The law enforcement hall in the Senate Palace has this frightening name in the northern part of the heavens. Especially the deputy director of the law enforcement hall, Situ Nan, can be said to be an executioner. In the past few thousand years, the famous battles in the heavens were led by Situ Nan. There were several sixth-order emperors who died in his hands, and there were even more fifth-order emperors. Heavenly Shadow Sect powerhouses dare not go to the north, only daring to stir up the situation in the ordinary world. An immortal dare not show up, afraid of being caught by the law enforcement hall. There is such a thing. Jian Wushuang was dumbfounded. He remembered that when he was in the northern boundary of the heavens, the Senate Palace was only the Senate Palace of Yuanyang Lake. Later, after he left, the Senate Palace took over the entire northern boundary, but it became like this in just a few thousand years. Speaking of it, it's all because of him. It's really good luck. Others are afraid of Situ Nan, but Chishui Traveler is not afraid and directly asks, Situ, what do you mean by coming here? Don't you think that there are not enough treasures in the old palace? Who would dislike his own treasures? Besides, you guys are too lonely and sneaked up to follow, but the others are still in the Vortex Sea. I can't look at them anymore. Bring it here, said and pointed to a group of unkind-faced inheritors behind. Chishui was guilty and didn't dare to look at it, turning his head to the side and not saying anything. Seeing that Chishui was deflated, Situ Nan sneered and said, You all have to thank me later. He turned his hand and took out a small seal, came to the front of the tombstone, gently put the small seal on the tombstone. The stream of light began to spread. Many people were dumbfounded. But Jian Wushuang leaked something strange. As the Keeman side, they followed the guidance of the gods to get here, and by chance they got the blood Luojing. But the people in the Senate Palace got the key to unlock the ruins without any prerequisites, and it was the last party to arrive. The Senate. That is the direct line of the true spirit. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang not only sweated his back. One side is true spirit, one side is God. Both are unprovoking people. He feels like a pawn. That cave mansion, why did it happen to appear in the Vortex Sea? How could he and King Bai be so lucky? I'm afraid that someone is secretly pushing behind all this. The streamer flashed across, and Jian Wushuang was blown away by the air current, a bit swayed. Those who were in the front were the sixth-order emperors. Jian Wushuang was not in the limelight this time, but stood honestly at the back. Taking a look at Gong Miaoi, he leaked a smile. I originally felt that I was in control of the destiny of others, but I turned out to be just a pawn. The White King in front of him was pulling his neck, as if he was about to go in. It made Jian Wushuang feel ridiculous. It's been used by others and it's so hard. Who do you fight for? The enthusiasm dropped instantly and fell to the end. However, there are still 10 fifth-order peak emperors who follow him and are responsible for protection. Yep. Jian Wushuang followed a breath and turned his eyes to the two people who were also standing at the back. It's him. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. A topless, strong man in strange trousers, and a middle-aged man with gray hair. Both of them are fifth-order emperors, and the one is even the fifth-order pinnacle, with a very powerful aura. Bu Kuan, father and son. I saw him once in the Shangqing Palace. The origin of the other party was very peculiar, and Jian Wushuang's image was very deep. I didn't expect to meet these two people here. In front of the two of them, there was another person he hadn't seen before, but he had been thinking about it for a long time. Rosa. The eldest prince of the Maluo kingdom, he followed a lot of strong men, a total of 8 fifth-order emperors, strong and weak. Jian Wushuang stared at his handwriting. It is invisible on the surface, but the power contained in it is the same as the beast and magic weapon on his body. It's the arm of the candle dragon. I don't know if it was because of Jian Wushuang's glance or because of the candle dragon aura on Jian Wushuang's body. Luo Sha, the eldest prince of the Maluo kingdom, also looked at Jian Wushuang. The two looked at each other, and each nodded. Jian Wushuang didn't want to expose his intentions so as to prevent the other party from being defensive, but Luo Sha felt that he was extraordinary. There were 10 fifth-order peaks around him, which was a very powerful force. It was bigger than his battle. Shihai couldn't find it. Maybe it was the pinnacle power of the inland sea, or the descendant of a big man from the great southern heavenly Jin dynasty. This kind of character, with a great background, was not humble or overbearing in front of everyone just now, obviously not an ordinary person, and cannot be offended. He is not like his stupid brother. It's interesting. Jian Wushuang smiled from the bottom of his heart. The figure who can command the army is really extraordinary. Although the strength is a little bit weak, it should not be underestimated. Now Luo Sha has broken through the fifth-order emperor. Although he has the record of beheading the fifth-order emperor, the fifth-order emperor is too weak, there is no eternal treasure, and he is alone. The momentum is also very weak, and cannot be compared with Rosa. The arm of the candle dragon. Jian Wu's eyes glowed with light. If he can collect more beasts and gods before he joins the Tao, and then use the power of all things to increase his level, his divine body really hopes to reach 50,000 times at the Tao sovereign level. He couldn't even imagine how strong the breakthrough would be. The ultimate Tao is complete, the ultimate Kendo is complete, and the divine body reaches 50,000 times the heavenly defense. After the success of the combination, he is probably the fifth-order emperor directly. Nothing can stop him then. Things that I didn't even dare to think about before were realized only in the Temple of Qishan for thousands of years. Of course, this is also related to the time house. He has cultivated in the starry sky for countless years. Although there is no accurate record, there are 100 epics. Chapter 54:19. It can be considered to have accumulated a lot of money. Since entering the great wilderness to the present, the real time is less than 10,000 years. He has gone from Yenxian to now the battle power to kill the fifth-order emperor. You know, the strongest in the original universe is only the fifth-order emperor. This time, a huge relic was opened again, and the breakthrough road of Kendo and Extreme Path was just ahead. He has to hold it. Jian Wushuang stepped forward and followed the crowd into a space gate transformed by the stream of light. Just when they entered the ruins, Huiqing, who had already penetrated into the inland sea of the West China Sea, followed Jiang Shang's guidance to a small and indistinct island. Many mortals live on this island who go out to sea to fish for a living. The arrival of Master Huiqing made the mortals on the island very respected, because a legend has been circulating in the inland sea that the extreme of the West Sea is the West Heaven, where there is a holy Buddha. This time when he went to the inner sea, Huiqing also wanted to go to Shitian to learn about it. Only halfway there, Jiang Shang suddenly realized a trace of energy. Jiang Shang said with joy, "Master, I can play, that breath is related to you." He Dao. Huiqing was surprised. This time he went to Shitian to discuss the Dao. He won He Dao, and if he lost, he returned to the tomb Shanshan. But I didn't expect that the opportunity for the apprentice halfway to promote the harmony is here. But he still has this confusion scene in his mind. Am I wrong? Huiqing murmured. He was sure of everything until Jiang Shang's appearance broke everything. Now Jiang Shang possesses the spirit of plants and trees, and there is no bottleneck in his realm climbing all the way, and he has surpassed him to become the emperor. Jiang Shang waved his hand, and the spirit of vegetation turned into a child, lying on her fragrant shoulders, and a halo floated on top of the little guy's head, scurrying around Jiang Shang. "Little guy, you're grown up again." Jiang Shang teased the child with his fingers. Besides the master, this is her second relative. After Huiqing saw the child, she also leaked a smile and said lightly, "Then let's go and see." The two then disappeared on the island. When it appeared again, it was already outside a black hole on the ocean floor. The Zenji has reached the consummation Huiqing, and has also reached the realm of stars in space. I also know a lot about black holes. It's right here. Jiang Shang pointed to this miniature black hole. Hui Qing did not hesitate, stepped out one step, and directly entered the black hole. Colorful lights flashed by. Hui Qing didn't know if he was walking forward or the lights were rushing behind him. Master, I seem to feel a trace of evil, right in front of us. Jiang Shang's expression changed. That breath made her very familiar, and she thought of the puppet. The same breath as the murderer of her brother. Hui Qing frowned. It was amazing enough that a black hole could appear here. There were still people inside. The speed of the two has not decreased, but has become faster. All right, just ahead. As she got closer and closer, Hui Qing leaked a strange expression, and he was familiar with that breath. Could it be? Hui Qing was stunned until she saw the back. The back was very familiar, but there was a slight change in aura, but the sharp sword aura explained everything. It is Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang in the tunnel of this mottled color space is the Dharmakaya that entered the black hole from the border of Maluo. Hui Qing could find Jian Wushuang, but Jian Wushuang's law body could not see Hui Qing. There is a big gap in the space they are in. Although they can see it, they are actually quite different. Hui Qing also discovered that she couldn't get close to Jian Wushuang at all. Brother Wushuang! Hui Qing shouted. But Jian Wushuang in front couldn't hear it at all. There was hesitation in Jiang Shang's eyes, but in the end he didn't speak. And Jian Wushuang in the black hole not only did not hear Hui Qing's shout, he didn't even feel anyone approaching. He was still drifting around and comprehending the black hole. Is this the universe? Jian Wushuang's law body was fundamentally different from the scene Hui Qing saw. After entering the depths of the black hole, Jian Wushuang discovered that he was in the depths of the black hole, and when he approached the source, he could feel the power of the universe. That is a realm higher than a black hole. It has the same beauty as the origin of the universe that it swallowed. Master, we and him do not belong to the same universe, but these black holes are both born in the universe and have the effect of mutual linkage. Between universes, space may be similar, but time is different. They saw that Jian Wushuang was not the Jian Wushuang in the world at all. It was very likely that Jian Wushuang had been here 1,000 years ago. Hui Qing still couldn't understand these rules. After looking at it for a while, Hui Qing gritted his teeth and turned sharply, breaking the color boundary. The two stepped to the edge of an ancient battlefield. Jiang Shang's eyes were full of joy. This is it. At the same time, Jian Wushuang's deity followed many powerful men and arrived at this ancient battlefield, but the two sides were far apart. After entering the ancient battlefield, everyone glanced around. The walls were ruined, and the corpses of strange beasts were everywhere, broken golden bones and even colorful bones. Among them there are a large number of trial weapons, such as long swords, war hammers, and cold spears, all of which have long lost the power conferred on them, and turned into scrap copper and rotten iron. Everyone looked shocking. Even the well-informed King White couldn't help shaking his head. All the fallen on the ancient battlefield were all emperors, and they were also strong among emperors. How many powerhouses have fallen on such a huge battlefield and countless corpses? No one knows this. Even the treasure has lost its luster. Obviously, the battlefield here may be traced back to ancient times. Suddenly, a fifth-order emperor exclaimed, "It is the eternal treasure." Then he hurriedly pulled from a corpse and was about to pull it off. "Don't move!" Bai Jun roared, but it was too late. The corpse that was dragged, the dim eyes, suddenly began to flicker. 1, 2, 3, 10,000, countless corpses woke up in an instant. This scene was shocking even for the sixth-order peak emperor. The strange corpse slowly got up, roaring in a language they didn't recognize. What is even more strange is that these corpses did not attack them, but rushed toward the depths of the battlefield. This made everyone breathe a sigh of relief. The Guiling Island Master and others have never seen this kind of scene, and they almost have to do it. Fortunately, he was stopped by the White King. These people stood in the gaps between the corpses, quietly watching them charge. What kind of willpower this should be. After countless years of falling, the body has to charge and engulf. Jian Wushuang was also very puzzled. He walked up to King Bai and asked quietly, Are these corpses under Fuego's or from the Three Kings' court? It's not the heavenly monarch of the Three Kings' court. King Bai shook his head and then said, the Three Kings' court has recruited countless heavenly monarchs, that is, monarchs and powerful men, but these corpses are different from those of the heavenly monarchs. Chapter 54:20. Tianjun. It is the backbone of the Three Kings' court. When the White King became the Fifth Order Emperor, he also saw the heavenly kings of the Third Order court. The lowest strength is the Fifth Order. Their most precious treasures have a unique aura, which is different from these corpses. The power emanating from this corpse is contaminated with the power of the soul. That power makes them very uncomfortable. Just like swallowing, it is an evil force. Let's wait and see what happens. The White King and the Qimeng people did not act rashly. Zhen Wuyang and the people in the Yuan Lao Palace are all their own people, and they can be regarded as united and gathered together, and they haven't moved. The miscellaneous troops of Guiling Island Master didn't know anything, so they didn't dare to act rashly. They kept staring at Situ Nan in the Yuan Palace and King Bai in Qimeng. No fool who dares to attack those corpses at this time. Countless corpses besieged, the Sixth Order Emperor may have to be buried here. Snapped. Broly, who was standing at the end with his father Bu Kuan, blasted a corpse close to his father's skeleton with a punch. The power of this punch was very powerful, and it was definitely the power of the fifth-tier peak. Do not. Although Bu Kuan's strength is not good, he is not stupid. It is useless to want to stop, because the corpses nearby have turned their heads. The Guiling Island Master also reacted, and found that his disciples had taken the lead in the attack. He did not hesitate at the moment, and two powerful auras directly blasted near Zhen Wuyang and King Bai. Immediately attracted countless corpses to turn around and began to besiege them. King White scolded, "Damn it!" But Jian Wushuang had already quietly retreated behind everyone, putting himself in the center, protected by the 10 Fifth Order Peak Emperors around him, and he was very safe. Boom, boom, boom. The corpse began to attack in a big way, and no one can be blamed at this time. You have to withstand it first. You can't stay here for a long time. Zhen Wuyang stood tall and looked into the distance. Surrounded all around, staying here will be exhausted if you don't break through. The Guiling Island Master and the others had already shrunk the divine body at this time, followed the gap between the corpses, and began to flee. Resistance? Who gave the courage? Even if you can resist, you won't waste your strength here. There is no benefit in killing these corpses. It may even be contaminated by the soul. Let's go too, follow Guiling Island Master. Jian Wushuang looked at the opportunity and called out King Bai, and forgot to flee with Gong Miaoi. The Emperor Mini guarding him, he could escape with all his strength at this time. When the corpses were provoked, Emperor Yin Yi was on top. This battlefield, big or small, is comparable to several higher worlds. It is comparable to the secret realm of the universe in the outside world, but at this distance, the Emperor can let go and escape within an hour. As Jian Wushuang fled, his body also changed, becoming the same bone as the corpse, but the color of the bone was colorful. Soon, they escaped from the vortex of battle. The bones in front were already the same as them, rushing toward the depths of the battlefield. He had to see what was in the depths of the battlefield, so that so many skeletons rushed past desperately. Zhen Wuyang and Situ Nan who stayed at the end were miserable. The vortex of the corpses became larger and larger, and it was difficult for them to rush out. Shang's law bodies turned into hundreds of millions of slaying bodies in rage, desperately destroying those corpses, unmatched. After the break of this business, Zhen Wuyang and other talents followed. Damn it! Zhen Wuyang ran all the way and cursed, and the people who caught up with Guiling Island directly killed them. The Guiling Island Lord doesn't care about these, he flees with several Sixth Order Emperors, regardless of those Fifth Order Emperors at all. This time the disciples he led were all by his side, and several of the Sixth Order Emperors, such as Tianshan Emperor, were miserable, and many Fifth Order Emperors under his command were slaughtered by Zhen Wuyang. Obviously it was something the owner of Guiling Island provoked, but he made his people take the blame. Ahead. In the depths of the battlefield, a towering figure blocked them. After seeing the existence of that person, King White took a deep breath and shouted, "It is the Lord of the Universe, quickly disperse." King White is very familiar with that breath. He has seen the Lord of the Universe. Although the man in front of him is no longer in this courtyard, his breath remains the same. Dead. This time, they understood, the other side's murderousness told them, and it would be death to rush forward. A huge beam of light exploded, sweeping away all the strong in front in a straight line. Whether it is the bones or emperors like them. Several fifth-order emperors fell in an instant, and a sixth-order emperor was crushed and seriously injured. It was the emperor who was the last to the Senate palace. Because he was walking slowly, he didn't have time to react, so he was hit. On the contrary, the person in the front found the strangeness and hurriedly avoided. Jian Wushuang was in a cold sweat behind him, and he would definitely die if he encountered the beam of light just now. Fortunately, it runs fast. At this moment, he did not dare to be careless. The beast god realm quietly broke out, and the divine body began to climb. Heavenly magic power has also been driven to the extreme, and the divine body has reached 40,000 times. Jian Wushuang asked anxiously, "What should I do?" Suddenly, everyone lost their own opinions, and they didn't know what to do. This time, the ruins exceeded all of their expectations. The entire realm of, or the 4 secret realms, has never seen such a powerful ruin. There was no corpse of the Lord of the Universe in the forest of 10,000 treasures. Some have long been taken away by the people of the 4 great halls. The Guiling Island Master and the others were overjoyed. The realm, or all the sixth-order emperors of the 4 great secret realms, are not after the absolute peak at all, but the extinct master of the universe. Now I actually encounter the body of a cosmic lord, although it has no origin. It is enough, as long as you get the body of the cosmic lord, it will also be developed. King White was even more enthusiastic. The flesh, the people present, don't need the flesh more than him. Elder Qingmeng came up with the jade slip bestowed by the gods, handed them to King Bai, and said, "The gods have orders." King Bai took it, and only he could understand the secret text above. After reading it, he crushed the jade slip and leaked a sneer. The message above is very brief. Suppress with Jian Wushuang's power of all things and seize the body of the Lord of the Universe. Jian Wushuang heard the rumors of King Daobai. Everyone was stunned. Let him be a Taoist to suppress the physical body of the Lord of the Universe. If the opponent can't move, he dare to go up and try, but now, let alone him, let a 6th-order peak emperor dare not go. This is the biggest opportunity of my life, Jian Wushuang. If you make me perfect, I will climb to the top and share the entire Temple of God with you in the future. I will be your guardian. King Bai made a promise. He really wanted to recover peak, even 1 step forward. He originally took the line of the divine body. Although the source has recovered, he doesn't know much about the cultivation of the source. If he gets the body of the Lord of the Universe, he will be able to embark on the old path and break through with the divine body. Chapter 54:21. Coupled with the dual cultivation of the origin, once he breaks through, I am afraid that no one can stop him, neither the gods nor the true spirits will work. Jian Wushuang hesitated. Face the Lord of the Universe, he dare not. The power of all things suppressed, I haven't tried it. If there is no danger, you can try it, but now. Seeing Jian Wushuang's hesitation, King Bai immediately left. He is going to try. That majestic existence has not moved, and that beam of light also erupted from his eyes. He wanted to pacify Jian Wushuang's worries. Ah! The White King roared. There were so many divine bodies, and he desperately transformed into the same size as the Master of the Universe, and walked over generously. The beam of light condensed here, and the White King's figure flashed, but when he reached the top, the beam of light still burst straight out. Come! Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth without hesitation and rushed straight up. Fight! He bypassed the straight line and rose into the air. Seeing Jian Wushuang, King Bai nodded with hot eyes. The others looked at these 2 people, thinking they were crazy, but they quickly reacted. Stop them! The flesh of the Lord of the universe. A piece of flesh and blood is enough for them to comprehend, let alone a complete flesh. Not only the master of Guiling Island and others, but Zhenliang, Qishui, and Tong Tian also burst out. The quotient is not so strong. It is normal for the ultimate emperor to pursue different pursuits. His cosmic secrets are almost Mahayana, and it won't take long to break through. From the emperor to the Lord of the universe, it is a qualitative change from space to time. The essence is different, and the difficulty of breaking through can be imagined. Especially master the ultimate way of destruction. Need to break up the complete space and reshape a piece of time. And space exists in every moment of time. The huge universe, as long as there is a breathing time, then a space is formed. This space is not an ordinary space, but the cosmic space that carries the world. The man from the Yuan Palace came up and saw that Shang was unmoved and said, "Don't come up and take a look? Don't go, it's useless with me, fight with them." Shang shook his head. Situ Nan said in surprise, "Don't help? How easy is it?" As soon as Shang's words fell, the body of the Lord of the Universe really began to change. The Guiling Island Master, who ran faster than King Jian Wushuang White, was directly smashed to pieces by a palm. After reuniting, he never dared to step forward. King White sneered, "Idiot! If you want to accept this body, the first thing is to suppress it." Jian Wushuang's figure turned into a black hole, and the power of all things released made that physical body familiar and yearning. His divine action continued to shrink, and finally turned into a high position, and finally began to move. Charge towards Jian Wushuang. This is the so-called suppression? Jian Wushuang's desire to die was gone. This is obviously using him as bait. Attract the other person to him. The power of all things is also a rare and precious source in ancient times. It requires countless types of source cohesion, and it must be the ultimate source. It's like the origin of all things. It's just the origin of 10,000 ways, and the 10,000 ways included are very common. The condensed power of all things has impurities. Only when the ultimate ways are gathered together can the pure power of all things in Jian Wushuang's body be condensed. That is, not in the ancient times, otherwise Jian Wushuang would have to be offered as an ancestor. The massive power of all things in the black hole spilled out into the flesh of the Lord of the Universe. I originally thought that I was very strong, but after I kept importing, I found that I couldn't stop at all, and the effect was very weak. There is no way that the other party is the Lord of the Universe. It is too difficult to awaken this physical body. He is just a Taoist, so there is so much power of all things to awaken a Lord of the Universe. King White did not dare to delay, and directly abandoned the flesh, and the illusory shadow of the divine body rushed into the flesh of the Lord of the Universe. As soon as I entered, I was shocked by my self-protective consciousness. Obviously the physical body has not yet awakened. "Wait!" Jian Wushuang shouted angrily, frowning. This time he gave his life to help King White. After the matter was done, it wouldn't be too much to knock him a few times. Jian Wushuang once again condensed the massive power of all things, fully digested 90% of his Buddhist origin, and plunged into the body of the Lord of the Universe. King White once again held his breath and moved forward. But this time, Zhen Weiyang and others came over. Qingmeng, Zishan, and Lan Yu stopped them. The Shang in the distance started doing it this time. At first, he didn't help because he had to fight for it by chance. Now he helped because someone blocked Zhen Weiyang and the others. Not only him, but Situ Nan from the Yuan Palace also did it. Arrogant. The three elders resisted desperately, and they were able to stop the three inheritors alone, but the strength of Shang and Situ Nan were not weak. Jian Wushuang didn't care much about these things and said loudly, "Go in, they can't hold it for too long." The White King below is also a decisive generation, and the phantom of the divine body begins to merge with the flesh of the Lord of the Universe. There was this gap in the Buddhist awakening, and the White King just saw the stitches, taking advantage of the vacancy. After gathering into the flesh, Jian Wushuang stopped directly. As soon as the eyes of the flesh body opened, they slowly closed again. "I really want to wake up, they all have to die." Yu reading www. Jian Wushuang's breath dropped suddenly, and he was extremely weak. With a few Tier 5 Dai monarchs, he quickly retreated back to recover his strength. When regaining his origin, he frowned and found that Gong Miaoyi was missing. After scanning around, he discovered that the other party had already mixed up with the prince of the Maluo kingdom, Rasha. Damn it! He knew that Gong Miaoyi was not simple, there was the ultimate source in his body. How could he be controlled? There was still blood Luo Jing on the opponent, a treasure that could unlock the ruins, which should not be underestimated. It can't be said to be useful later, and now he ran away. There is this and that small seal on the Senate Palace, and the blood-falling crystal can be regarded as falling on the side of the Guiling Island Lord. Now the 3 elders of Keeman have been besieged again, and the situation is not good. Once these 3 elders can't stand it, they will face the danger of being purged. Nothing is worthless, and keeping them would threaten them. Monarch White is still merging with his body, and he can't help it all. His strength is too weak, and he can't go up rashly. Those who are participating in the battle are all Tier 6 combat power, and he is also looking for death when he goes. How to do? Jian Wushuang glanced at Guiling Island Master and the others. They were so hurt by the body of the Lord of the Universe that they did not dare to go again. It happened to see Zhen Weiyang and Qing Mang and the others fighting each other, and they were also happily sitting on the mountain and watching the tiger fight. Jian Wushuang whispered quietly, "Island owner, the rabbit is dead and the fox is sad. You don't understand, Gong Miaoyi, I let you, but if we wait for the other party to liquidate us, you don't want to be alone." The Guiling Island Master, who was sitting cross-legged in the distance, was taken aback for a moment, then turned to look at Jian Wushuang. The fighting power of the Fifth Order Emperor he noticed before he came in, and then released the strange power to help the White King enter the body of the Universe Lord. He also saw it. Chapter 54:22. Boy, don't talk nonsense, I won't do anything without showing sincerity. Turtle Spirit Island Master sneered, still too young to agitate him. He has lived for countless epochs, how could he be used by a little boy? Jian Wushuang was unwilling to say, "There is only one physical body, I can't promise you, as long as you can help me through the difficulties this time, we can form an alliance. Don't talk about empty words." The owner of Turtle Spirit Island shook his head impatiently. But Jian Wushuang really failed to show his sincerity. Can't kill Gong Miaoyi now. Even if it was killed, Shui Luojing fell into the opponent's hands, which actually made the opponent cheaper. Jian Wushuang was a little anxious. Qing Mang and the others couldn't stop them for too long, they had already been injured. Being able to quickly defeat Qing Mang and the others, the Guiling Island owner and the others were shocked. But if they really helped, not only would they not get anything but they would offend the inheritors. Even if they are not guilty now, they will fight for treasure later, and if they meet again, they will still fight. As Jian Wushuang said, it is better to form an alliance. But not reconciled. The owner of Turtle Spirit Island was also very entangled, and proactively rumors, "Boy, as long as you can guarantee that the body is half of us, I will take someone out." "Island Lord, I can only guarantee that 10% is yours, and there is nothing I can do about it." Jian Wushuang sneered in his heart, and the other party was still fooled. If his words can be believed, they won't provoke so many enemies. The owner of Guiling Island frowned first, but he heard that only 10% of him was heard, which means that he himself could get 10% and the others didn't count. He was a little tempted. Turning his head to look at these people beside him, he couldn't help frowning. What about this group of people? Do not care. Qing Mang and the others are about to fall, and if they don't make a move, this Qingdu is gone. When the time comes, the inheritor will succeed, and they will have no chance at all. Everyone, it's time to move your hands and feet. These people have fallen. We are the one to fall next time. It's better to form an alliance with them and get the body of the Lord of the Universe. Everyone can learn about it. This is what I strive for you. You can consider it. The Guiling Island Master suddenly became righteous and awe-inspiring. Emperor Tianshan couldn't believe it. This old Wangba actually had this kind of consciousness. He also felt that he wanted to make a move early in the morning, and he knew the truth about the sadness of the rabbit and the fox. The strength of the Qingmong people is not weak. These people have fallen, and disputes will arise when the time comes, and it is them who die. Do it, hold them. Seeing no one refuted, the master of Guiling Island took the lead in doing it. But my heart sneered at how stupid these people were. This is also the reason why Jian Wushuang didn't find anyone else. As long as a little bit of benefit is thrown, they can all be shot. As for Yicheng's physical body, it was a big deal to wait for King White to merge and cut a piece of meat for the opponent. When the time comes, the strength of King White will skyrocket. It's just that these people are still useful. It doesn't hurt to give it. You stinky fish, rotten shrimp, dare to block this seat. The body turned into a colorful Chishui walker and blasted the Tianchan's body with a punch. The towering toad, its body was swelling, and then it made a sound that shook the sky. Zhen Weiyang's majestic face. With a punch, the world was dimmed. It was just fine. With the help of Shang and Situ Nan, it was easy to defeat Qingmong and others, but after the Guiling Island master joined the war, it was not so easy. In particular, there are still countless bones around now, and every time they attack, they have to calculate carefully and can't attack those bones. Had it not been for the physical body of the Lord of the Universe, the skeletal army would have rushed over. Zhen Weiyang looked at these people and yelled, "You idiots, what benefit did the other party give you? Thanks, Tusk, even if it's not good, I won't let you inheritors take it away. This is the relic of our realm powerhouse, so I will give you everything." This stung the hearts of the Yuan Lao Gong and others. Stopped for a while. Tongtian Buddha was anxious, turned his head to look at Situ Nan and said, "Situ, what are you doing?" The body of the Lord of the Universe erupted with a powerful aura of origin, which was refined by Jian Wushuang, which also represented the success of King Bai. Ha! The frantic laughter shocked everyone. King Bai's eyes were cold and he slowly stood up. "You guys." Jian Wushuang felt a bit of a bad feeling and he slowly got up and began to back away. The origin was refined by him. He knew King White better than anyone else. The laughter just now didn't sound like King White's voice. "Damn it," King White said again, uttering the last few words, and then began to do it. Boom. The indiscriminate attack directly killed Qingmong and Lanyu. Zishan was seriously injured and hid at the end to assist, and escaped. Shang also felt a bit of a bad feeling and shouted, "Go back." Then the figure was directly in front of Lin Zhenwuyang and the others. Destroy! A black lotus was in full bloom, and a breath of terror that swept the entire battlefield boiled. Shang turned his head to look at the others, and said anxiously, "Hurry up, get out of here, my law body will be broken for you." Then he said, "Situ Nan, don't forget your duty and protect them from here." Relax. Situ Nan directly grabbed Zhen Weiyang and the others and bypassed King Bai. The master of Guiling Island was stunned for a moment, and wanted to ask Jian Wushuang what's going on and why he wanted to kill his own people, but turned his head to see that there was Jian Wushuang's shadow, and he had already run away. While running, he still didn't pull a few elders and the elders of Zishan. Jian Wushuang has the power of everything and can restore their combat power. He alone has no ability to survive here. Facing the Black Lotus, King White was a little surprised, and said in surprise, "The secret of the universe is still created by its own creation, which is a bit interesting." The Black Lotus was in full bloom, Shang stood on it, and the breath rose directly to the highest level. "Ask." Shang was calm, knowing that he was not an opponent, but he was just a law body, and it was no big deal to fall. This time it was not in vain, and he was able to meet a master of the universe. At this time, the White King is no longer leading the White King. Jian Wushuang was fooled. He and King Bai were both beaten by the gods. Refining the source and searching for the flesh are all pretenses. Everything is to revive the Lord of the Universe before him. Jian Wushuang was calculated and now fled in embarrassment. But King White has fallen, and this time he has fallen completely. Remember the name of this seat, Fiego. You are qualified to know who killed you. Fiego urged a trace of origin, and the whole person was a little intoxicated. This source, as Frosa told him, was very powerful, but it was not as powerful as before, but it was enough. It was enough for him to recover again. Dear, click in, give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that the new full marks are found at the end of The Beautiful Wife. The new revision and upgrade address of the mobile station. Data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer station, and fresh reading without ads. Chapter 54:23. Shang Ting stepped on the black lotus, his cold eyes gleamed. No matter who you are, I will do my best in this battle today. It is good. No one knows what happened in this battle, but the image of a lotus flower is always printed in this space. It can be seen from a long distance. The power of destruction destroyed everything. The space-time Long Hanoi far outside the temple of Qishan. Shang Yidao resulted in a desolate beast of the highest level and obtained a huge fruit. This is a treasure that the desolate beast has guarded for countless epochs. He smashed the fruit in one hand, the force of destruction engulfed the power of the fruit into his body, and he became stronger again. Foi ego, ancient creatures, kind of interesting. Then he took out a piece of jade slip and said, Master True Spirit, I want to return to the 4 secret realms. His deity wants to try it himself. The Dharma body was not good enough just now. This long river of time and space, he has been crisscrossing for thousands of years, it is meaningless at all. The desolate beast that was just beheaded was already the strongest creature in this time-space Long Hanoi, and it felt that it was not as powerful as the Qinglong Palace Master. He played against the masters of the 4 main halls. Now that Foi Ego has appeared, he has rekindled the vast power of destruction and may be able to help him break through. The boundary, the West Sea and the interior. Jian Wushuang had already brought people to the edge of the battlefield. For some reason, it was also very wide, but the corpses did not dare to come. What is going on? Elder Zishan looked at Jian Wushuang in confusion. Obviously feel that Jian Wushuang knows. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, We are calculated. Is it King White? At this time, Elder Zishan still did not dare to say that the gods were calculating them. This brainwashing is too serious. Yes, it's him, he calculated us. Jian Wushuang laughed in his heart, but nodded on his face. Only in this way can Elder Zishan continue to listen to him. He didn't dare to speak ill of the gods, otherwise he would have to be destroyed by the Elder Zishan first if he would not be killed by the Lord of the Universe. Elder Zishan was full of anger and cursed King Bai. Jian Wushuang turned his head to look at the battlefield, but his heart was very uncomfortable. This feeling of being calculated is very uncomfortable. He still remembered that the gaze that King White had prayed to him had completely fallen. Zishan, since King Bai has rebelled, you will tell me in the future. We have to continue to do things the Lord God explained. Jian Wushuang also began to fool Elder Zishan as a pawn. No way, in this place, every 6th Order Emperor is a backer, and it is difficult to move every inch. There was chaos on the battlefield, and it was impossible to get out. Elder Zishan groaned for a moment and said, Don't worry, the young master, Lord God has confessed that no matter what happens, you must listen to the orders of the young master and the White King. Now the White King has rebelled and naturally follows the young master. Okay. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up, and then he said, Don't worry, I'm here to seek some treasures for Lord God. Except for those treasures, all other treasures belong to Elder Zishan. After taking Zishan, Jian Wushuang also breathed a sigh of relief. Now there is such a Tier 6 top emperor next to him, and the few Tier 5 peak emperors who are still alive are useless and can be used as a shield. The most critical thing at the moment is how to leave or enter the depths of this ruin. Boom! A burst of light flashed and appeared in the front. Jian Wushuang paused, a little hesitant. The place was so quiet that the corpse did not dare to invade. He was uncertain whether or not to go in for a while. Just when he hesitated, Zhen Wuyang and others had already escaped from the battlefield and rushed toward the depths of the light, without any taboo. After gritting his teeth, Jian Wushuang followed with others. Now he is not afraid of these people, but he is afraid that there is no living person around him. The big deal is to reveal his identity, just as the White King has fallen, and he can be completely whitewashed. Follow Zhen Wuyang and return to the Tomb Mountain in an open and honest manner. Go! Bringing the elders of Zishan and several emperors, followed Zhen Wuyang and the others. And behind them, they followed the Guiling Island Master and others. In the battlefield, a more powerful might erupted, and it was obvious that Shang had encountered the Lord of the Universe. According to Shang's combat power, even if he uses the cosmic secret method, he is by no means an opponent, and it will delay for a while at most. Although Jian Wushuang didn't know much, he also knew what the Lord of the Universe meant. It was an extremely dazzling existence in the ancient times, and it was not something the emperor could resist. The cultivators who are still alive now almost all left the battlefield and rushed towards the quiet mountain. Silent Hill. The source of light. Zhen Wuyang and others have been here long ago. Seeing these people still standing there, Jian Wushuang was a little confused. This is not Zhen Wuyang's style. According to the past, these people have already rushed to meet opportunities. It is impossible to be so calm. Jian Wushuang did not dare to move forward for fear of danger. Staring into the light, Jian Wushuang saw two figures clearly. One man and one woman. It is Hui Qing and Jiang Shang. Why is he here? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Obviously there weren't these two when he came. How did it appear? Could it be that the real spirit opened the back door, let them in? It's not impossible that there is a precedent in Primordial Star, in the presence of so many testers, descending inheritance. It shouldn't be difficult if Hui Qing is allowed to open another small hole. Sure enough, the Tianjiao who was chosen is different. Had it not been for King Bai, he would have been no worse than Hui. Look at it now, all in a panic. He didn't even have the face to say that he was the inheritor. He was played around by the gods. He first refined the origin for the White King, and then ran here, and finally made a wedding dress for others. An ancient creature was resurrected, and King White also fell. What is this called? They are all extremely intelligent people, and they are finally fooled by a dragon who sees the head and misses the end. If he hadn't run fast, he might have been looted again. The other party was able to quietly kill King Bai and robbed of the origin, and it is estimated that he also knew something about him. The infinite power of everything in the body. It's simply a treasure of mobile. The bald head monk inside seems to be in harmony. The elder Zishan looked for a while and found that things were a little weird, and then said, "How can there be a reptile like Dao Jun here? It is still in harmony." Jian Wushuang didn't listen to it, but he couldn't say anything. But the word Hedao is even more harsh, and Hui Qing is actually in harmony. The little novice who was holding his thigh at the time was all in harmony. But it's not too surprising. It's time to join the Dao in the first step, and now that the realm is complete. If it succeeds, it is the ultimate emperor, and the ultimate emperor with 1 step and 5 steps. I am afraid that the combat power is not weaker than the 6th order emperor. Chapter 54-24. Immeasurable Buddha was able to suppress the 5th order emperor when he was a 4th order emperor, and when Hui Qing combined Dao succeeded, he was the ultimate emperor. For the 5th order ultimate emperor, it was not a problem to fight against the 6th order emperor. Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief when the master of Guiling Island and others arrived in the distance, seeing that the Prince of Maluo was still alive. There must be a big chance here, let me go in. Simple. Go up and do it. But before they rushed in, Sidu Nan and Tong Tian Buddha stopped them. Tonggon Buddha sneered and shouted angrily, "Who dares to step forward?" Situ Nan's breath is also rising. Although the Shang is no longer there, the combat power of these people should not be underestimated. It is really impossible for the Turtle Spirit Island Master to get in. When necessary, Zhen Wuyang and Qishui Xingzhe also shot. They are all inheritors. Everyone, it's too overbearing. For the sake of a little guy, you have to give up the opportunity? The owner of Turtle Island hasn't discovered that the person among them is related to the inheritor. I feel that these inheritors are crazy, so they don't want to grab the chance and watch others put it on the same path. Situ Nan replied coldly, "Gilin Island Lord, This person is the inheritor of the Tomb Mountain, and he is only a Taoist lord. If anyone dares to destroy his chance, the Tomb Mountain, the Senate Palace, and the temple will not let you go. You have to think about it. Standing in place, the master of Guiling Island looked ugly and frowned. This is not to scare him. He was really a little scared. He didn't expect these people to come in with Dao Jun, so that such a great opportunity would be given to a Dao Jun, which is very outrageous. With many disciples and others around him, the owner of Guiling Island was not afraid of losing face, and said indifferently, "Since he is Dao Jun, then forget it. What is good about Daojun's inheritance? I have to see if he can break through." Goodness! Tong Tian Buddha breathed a sigh of relief. Hui Qing is in harmony. This is a huge thing. For a Taoist monarch, harmony is a major event that crosses life and even space. Let alone fighting, even if a wave of anger swept over, it might break the way of heaven. Therefore, it is best to fight without fighting. It really delays Hui Qing's harmony, and no one can bear it. This is the Tomb Mountain, the ultimate way of the gods who can be ranked in the top 3. And it is to cultivate the ultimate way to the level of consummation. You must know the ultimate way of cultivation to reach consummation. The difficulty is huge. Once successful, it will be more than one level stronger than those who are not consummation. On the Tomb God Mountain, most of the ultimate princes are on the 7th floor, a few are on the 8th floor, and only a few people on the 9th floor are consummated. The ultimate Taoist who can finally unite in a perfect posture does not have the number of hands. This is the most elite seedling on the Tomb God Mountain, even more important than these emperors. Although a little unconvinced, no one dared to say anything. After the Guiling Island Lord retreated, he felt a little unhappy. Although he had not lost much this time, he did not find a single treasure. Turning his eyes, he turned to Jian Wushuang. Nowadays, the strength of the tripartite, the biggest loss is actually the Qiming and the Senate Palace. A Dharma body of Shang is comparable to all of them. As for Qiming, not only did he lose a pinnacle emperor and a top 6 tier, more importantly, the White Emperor was gone. Jian Wushuang still thought at the beginning, waiting for King Bai to return to the peak and sweep everything. The treasures here are all his. Now not only the plan has fallen, but he has become the weakest party. There was only one tier 6 top emperor around, and the other tier 5 peak emperors had no effect at all. On the other hand, there are 3 6th order emperors who have lost Shang's law body on the side of the Elder Palace. Each of them is the peak, not the peak, but the half-hanging 6th order peak emperor who can hang on the 4 secret realms. Situ Nan is the only one, no one is his opponent. Zhen Weiyang, Chishui Walker, and Tongtian Buddha can also be comparable to the 6th order peak combat power. This time, the Yuan Lao Palace has the 6th largest power, and the other 5th order emperors don't count. There are also 7 or 8 6th order emperors on Guiling Island Master. Among them there are 3 at the peak level, and the remaining weak are also the 6th level tops. The remaining 5th order emperors are not as good as Jian Wushuang's side. But these are not important. Now the Guiling Island Lord is looking at him. This time I am afraid he is not so easy to talk. Island Lord. Jian Wushuang was very respectful. Now I have to bow my head. No one is protecting him, he may fall here at any time. The master of Guiling Island didn't change his face and said in a low voice, "Let's talk about it, what happened just now?" Situ Nan and Zhen Weiyang also looked over, obviously wanting to inquire about what has just happened. It's about the Lord of the Universe. There was no time to ask when he just ran away. Now that he has stopped, there is no danger. Naturally, he has to ask. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment, knowing that if he didn't say anything he would not be able to pass this level today. Seniors, I really don't know what happened just now. We are all proceeding according to plan. It happened suddenly and I don't know much, and it is our people who died. Jian Wushuang said sincerely, "Own people. If it was someone else who died, I'm afraid he would have played in the hands of several 6th order emperors." Situ Nan looked gloomy and said coldly, "What plan, what organization? Let's talk about it one by one." It may be that he is used to it in the celestial realm, and his mouth is a series of cross-examination. Jian Wushuang turned his head and glanced at Elder Zishan, and threw the pot over. He is just a fifth-order emperor on the surface, he can't say too much, he can only say what he has just participated in, and the rest has to be supported by the tall man. Others can also see that Jian Wushuang's identity is special, but his strength is average. In the lower West Sea, the owner of the Zizhu forest, this time I explored this place with a few friends. I didn't want this to happen. The fallen people were greedy and lost their consciousness by backlash. I don't know anything else. The words of Elder Zishan are very vague. Not as good as Jian Wushuang said. Obviously it can't be fooled. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he began to calculate the situation on the field. The ultimate emperor's law body has a high probability of falling, so if the remaining combat power is distributed, the old man's palace and the inheritor are better. He now has a lot to win over the master of the Turtle Spirit Island. In fact, it is not to win, but to take refuge. Jian Wushuang whispered secretly, "Island owner, the Senate Palace and the inheritors are the strongest on the field now. We can't fight, or we will make them cheaper. The opportunity ahead is already occupied by the other party. If we don't do something, I have no chance to intervene in all the opportunities behind." "Boy, do you want to use the old man again?" Guiling Island owner is not stupid. He was right, it was indeed appropriate to join forces now, but Jian Wushuang had a Tier 6 top emperor, and he didn't have much bargaining chips. A Tier 6 top emperor, dispensable, nothing serious. Chapter 5425. If it is the 6th order peak emperor, it may still make him a little jealous, but the 6th order top emperor is not casually suppressed. Jian Wushuang also knew that what he lacked was a bargaining chip and immediately said, "The island owner doesn't want to know. Why can I help the emperor enter the body of the universe lord?" The master of Guiling Island was taken aback. He almost forgot that King Bai entered the body of the lord of the universe, and it was Jian Wushuang who helped him. This is undeniable, especially the power erupting in Jian Wushuang's body is very peculiar, and it can also help the 6th order emperor restore his combat power. As long as the island owner is willing to cooperate, I may not be able to help in future battles, but I have absolutely no problem restoring your roots," Jian Wushuang assured. The Guiling Island owner was a little disdainful and said lightly, "You can do it just as you catch you. Island owner can try, I still have this courage." Jian Wushuang's eyes were firm, and he wanted to catch him? Not too possible. The three parties persisted for a while, and finally Jian Wushuang reached an agreement with the owner of Guiling Island. The treasure was opened in 1999. The owner of Guiling Island had to choose first, and the rest was Jian Wushuang. This basically cut off Jian Wushuang's chance this time. But it would be nice to be able to save his life, and he didn't dare to have too many extravagant hopes. Save your life first, and consider everything else in the long run. Situ Nan and others didn't want to have another dispute, but when they looked at Jian Wushuang's eyes, there was a little more murderous intent. Naturally, I don't believe that Jian Wushuang and others are from any inner sea forces. Although they dealt with the shadow sect in the heaven realm, they also had some understanding of the Keeman in the realm, and they were all a force. The tripartite forces turned into a confrontation between the two parties again. Now the road ahead was blocked by Hui Qing, and Zhen Wuyang and others guarded the way, so they could only wait. Jian Wushuang is also curious about whether Hui Qing can succeed. The two have a good relationship, so naturally they will not match up with the owner of the Turtle Spirit Island to destroy it. In the light, Hui Qing and Jiang Shang sat cross-legged face to face. "Master!" Jiang Shang looked at Hui Qing, his eyes flashing. She protects Hui Qing and helps Hui Qing join the Tao. Jiang Shang, who had become an emperor, didn't join the Isle at all, and even the Tao was very vague. She is said to be an emperor, but physically she is more mundane. That grass and tree spirit is equivalent to her original Tao, which can be condensed into the original Tao of spiritual consciousness, which is probably the only one. The immature children hovered beside them. Hui Qing clasped her hands together, motionless. Hadao. As the name suggests, it is to integrate one's own Tao into space, integrate the origin of space, and finally step into the ranks of emperors. Hui Qing's luck is very good, and the chance of harmony is greater. The ultimate way, Zen machine, void and ethereal, unlike Jian Wushuang's kendo, it is visible and tangible. Zen Ji is more like the Tao of heaven, and it is also related to time. It is not easy to integrate with space. The Tao of Zen is floating in the space of Hui Qing, and it has been unable to integrate into one for a long time. Because there is already a way in the space, this way is the original heavenly way in the space, and Hui Qing has to suppress the other party before she can integrate her Zen machine into the space. As the saying goes, there is no room for two tigers in one mountain. How can there be a second way of heaven in one space? The origin of the Zen machine transforms into Hui Qing's appearance, floating in the silent space. Good. Reincarnation of the way of heaven, once grasped the origin of space early, turned out to be a bad thing. If you only grasp the origin of the space now, I am afraid the heavenly path inside will be so strong. But the origin of his space has reached the level of Yang to Yin, and the heavenly path contained in it is naturally unusual. He didn't expect that he would meet the opportunity of Hadao when he just arrived here. Originally thought that it was necessary to go deep into the remains. Unexpectedly, after the black hole came out, he would arrive at a lotus platform in Lingtai Mountain Spring, which seemed to be specially prepared for him. All kinds of auxiliary treasures, plus a trace of time origin, are what he lacks most. Combining all the treasures and realizing time, he embarked on the most critical part of the path of spiritual practice. The road to the Emperor. It's like a bridge connecting heaven and earth. After crossing this bridge, he was so big that he would never be able to go up if he fell down. Time is the process. The Zen machine is to deduct everything. Once, present, and future. Hui Qing transforms into three, connected into one line. He used to be a little novice monk who practiced cross-legged on Mount Wuliang for countless years. Now he is an anti-heaven Taoist, and he has stood up in trials and tribulations. But now he is far away from the past and near to the future, and the Tao is the same. He always feels that he is farther and farther away from the infinite and fearless way of the past. Future. Vague but full of hope. He can't see clearly, but he can feel it. In the future, he can control the world and even control the time, but he has a pair of big hands holding his spine, and those hands are always there. In the future. Hui Qing's eyes flashed, suddenly opened her eyes, and looked directly at Jiang Shang. He seems to understand. The master of those hands is Jiang Shang. Hui Qing was dumbfounded. In the future, he will be controlled by his apprentice, and he will still be unable to get rid of it until he becomes the existence who masters the time. Seeing Hui Qing wake up, Jiang Shang said softly, "Master?" "No problem." Hui Qing continued to close her eyes, and Yu reading www. Akanshu. Calm returned to the space. He hesitated. I don't know whether to break through. He can live for others. He has not fulfilled the wishes of several masters. Go to the big division to save all the immortals. Go down, is it really right? Hui Qing muttered to herself. At this moment, he saw several former masters. The jade-faced master looked at Hui Qing and stretched out his hand to grab him. The rough head of the monk waved goodbye. He is far from the right way he once was. The distance to Hadao is getting closer. The right way once was the way of the immeasurable Buddha. But now the boundless Buddha has changed, and the preaching on Mount Boundless has become a joke. Hadao. Harmony is the truth. Hui Qing's eyes became firm. He didn't pay attention to Jiang Shang's hands, and struck forward and attacked the emperor. The outside world is also changing. The light on Hui Qing's body illuminates the world, far beyond the light in Lingtai Mountain Spring. On the distant Tomb Mountain, the true spirit took back the deity of Shang, and stood shoulder to shoulder with Shang on the top. Successful! Zhenling breathed out. On the Tomb Mountain, the first ultimate Taoist who broke through the emperor appeared. In Shang's current realm, Hui Qing can also be seen, a little uneasy, and said, "Master True Spirit, those hands?" "It's not hands, it's time, it's Hui Qing's first catastrophe." Zhenling was very satisfied. He put in that trace of time origin. The relics of Shihai are also the secret fight between him and the gods. In fact, it should have been turned on long ago. He saw those things about the gods more clearly than anyone else, and he was always planning, just waiting for this day. Let Huiqing join the road is more important than the entire Shihai ruins. Chapter 54:26. There are indeed the inheritance and treasures of the three kings in the West Sea ruins, but those things are still insignificant. The Temple of Qishan was established that year, plundering the treasures of the entire time and space, and it was impossible to use it. Even if there are a few masters of the universe, the true spirit can still be raised. Zihai's plan was for Huiqing, and as for the follow-up, it was left to others. This time he won. In his opinion, it is like this. The of the giant clan resurrected a cosmic lord, but his origin was much different. After so many years of ossification, he had only half of his power. Even if it is resurrected, there is not much threat. As long as the ruins are out, his true body can come to Shihai to behead the opponent. Fiego! Zhenling turned to look at Shang and said lightly, "You want to go in?" Shang nodded, with determination in his eyes. "Don't wait." "Let's wait. The secret method can't be Mahayana. Maybe it's because I didn't meet a suitable opponent." The business chief took a sigh of relief. The reason for the successive breakthroughs in these years is not too much. In the time house, he has stayed at least for tens of thousands of eras. The only difference from the outside world is that he has the guidance of the true spirit, and the inheritance he has obtained illuminates the road ahead of him. Now that the road ahead is spacious, he wants to go down and can't just retreat, so he went to the long river of time and space. There used to be many mysterious long rivers of time and space, but now it's not as good as the 4 secret realms. There are too few strong people and too few resources. This long river of time and space is a long river of time and space that has not been bred for long, and there is not even a master of the universe. Zhenling thought flew, and there was the past of the gods in his memory. Compared with Qishan, the age of these inheritors is not bad. At the beginning, the god of God was born on a desolate ancient star, with wild beasts, and there was no place for the human race to stand. Now that the long river of time and space in the outside world, at least the practitioner has the final say, and all special beings have to stand aside. As soon as Zhenling pointed out, a black hole appeared, and he said, "Be careful, the other party's background is very mysterious, you must run away in danger." "Don't worry, I'm not one of those young people." Shang leaked a smile. He was also an ancestor-level figure in the primitive universe. How could he be impulsive? Once he couldn't beat him, he still had to escape. As Shang entered the black hole, Zhenling looked at Huiqing again. Although the potential of quotient is very strong, the route is a bit extreme after all. Way of destruction. Inappropriate. According to the will of the gods, to cultivate future generations, it is best to take a more stable path, just like Huiqing's Zen machine, deducing all things, and becoming the pinnacle of the universe in the future, will also restrain yourself, because you see farther than others. In this way, maybe you can go on forever and you won't embark on the old path of the gods. You know, it is not so easy for this world to exist forever. Outside Lingtai Spring. Looking at the light, luck climbed. The emperor with experience knows that the people inside will succeed. Successful. Congratulations to Tong Tian. Wind and rain, Tru Wyung. Chishui travelers all clasped fists to congratulate. Tong Tian Buddha nodded in relief. He is very optimistic about Huiqing, and is not as narrow-minded as the immeasurable Buddha, and cannot tolerate others stronger than him. Tong Tian Buddha is more open, the ultimate way is to be stronger than them, this is an indisputable fact. Don't talk about 10,000 ways of flow, divine body flow, these are useless. Even if your origin is mutated, it won't work. Thinking of this, Tong Tian Buddha looked at Zhen Wuyang. Not to mention, the origin can also mutate. Since Zhen Wuyang entered the Temple of Qishan, the origin has mutated. The origin of the cultivator, returning to the ancestors, has become the origin of the beasts in ancient times. I don't know if it is good or bad, anyway, the strength has risen a lot. Otherwise Zhen Weiyang would not be able to keep up with the speed of him and Qi Shui. At first, the wind and rain didn't even crush them, but when they arrived at the Temple of the Gods, they quickly overtook them. Fenyu Demon Lord's potential is mediocre, and he is considered to be a well-regulated second-rank origin Dao. Hopefully in the future, it will be difficult to get another level up. It's not that you don't have to have a special origin Dao to become the Lord of the Universe, but after becoming the Lord of the Universe without a special origin Dao, you won't be able to live long. Since Tong Tian Buddha inherited the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe, his vision has widened a lot. The emperors all want to become the master of the universe, but after knowing it, it is estimated that not many people have that idea. After becoming the Lord of the Universe, he encountered more catastrophes. The emperor at least has luck. If he keeps a low profile, he can exist for a long time. But the Lord of the Universe is different. Catastrophe. The Lord of the Universe is really like the universe, with all kinds of disasters. Once it fails to cross, it will fall. The Tong Tian Buddha even secretly guessed that the God of God had fallen because he had not overcome the catastrophe, and that he had fallen with a long river of time. There is no source way that is two against the sky, and becoming the master of the universe is also looking for death. Only those ultimate existences can go further. Out. Tong Tian Buddha and others leaked smiles and looked at Hui Qing and Jiang Shang. After Hui Qing broke through, he sensed the strong people around him, somewhat surprised. I have seen all the emperors, Buddha masters, and hall masters. Hui Qing bowed to see him. Although broke through, she still had respect for these emperors. On the tomb's sacred mountain, not only the real spirit took care of him, but the Tong Tian Buddha and others also took good care of his younger generation. Tonghan Buddha smiled lightly and said, Hui Qing, you have become an emperor. According to the rules of our hometown and world, you are also a Buddha from now on. In the world of Tong Tian Buddhism, as long as it is an emperor, it is a Buddha. Dian is a bodhisattva, Yenxian is an arhat, and common customs are novice monks. Hui Qing grew up from a novice monk to a Buddha. For a while, I was in a trance. But he knew from the bottom of his heart that he stepped onto the Zen machine and went against the Buddha. Facing the enthusiasm of Tong Tian Buddha, he didn't say much, just smiled. You are the fifth order emperor who just broke through, Hui Qing. Your realm of space is very high. Hui Qing replied, It's the star realm now. As soon as this sentence came out, the Guiling Island master and others in the distance were very jealous. A Taoist has just joined the Tao, and the realm of space is the same as them. Moreover, when the space realm reached the star realm, the four great secret realms were all sixth-order emperors, but Hui Qing was still a fifth-order emperor, which showed that they were far behind on the origin road. Little friend Hui Qing is the fifth-order emperor who succeeds in the Tao. I am afraid that his combat power can be comparable to the sixth-order peak. Fenyu Emperor praised him. He was in a trance for a while. When he entered the Temple of Qishan, he was still the peak of the primitive universe. The fifth-order peak that he dreamed of was no longer the peak of the primitive universe. I don't know if it has become stronger or weaker. Many people think so. Now many inheritor emperors have sent a Dharma body to return to the original universe. It's just that there are no disputes in the current primitive universe. Chapter 54:27. When encountering a weaker emperor, he will not be bullied. When encountering a strong one, he will naturally respect. A piece of peace. Because there are no disputes. Even the younger generation, as long as they arrive at Yenxian, they will be sent to the Daoqi Temple for a trial. The rest of the ordinary, in the primitive universe, there are still many treasures for cultivating the ordinary. Even if some treasures are not available, they can be purchased in the four secret realms. Even the current emperor is lazy to go for it. What is there to break through? Innate treasure? Original treasure? It's all rubbish. Might as well go to the four secret realms to pick up the tatters. In front of countless strong people, Hui Qing is like the protagonist, chatting with the strong ones one by one and congratulating them. Standing in the corner, Jian Wushuang said silently in his heart, Hui Qing, congratulations. Standing like myself, Is this the gap? When everyone was talking in detail, a huge black hole appeared behind Lingquan. Everyone was shocked and quickly backed away. Jian Wushuang retired directly to the end, ready to escape at any time. If there were treasures, it would not be his turn, so it was better to retreat farther. Inside the black hole, a towering figure walked out, as if he was one with the black hole, coming out with the power of destruction in the black hole. Shang. Qi Shui was overjoyed. The person here is the only second ultimate emperor, Shang. First, he nodded to everyone, then looked at Hui Qing and said, "Congratulations, don't disappoint the cultivation of Master True Spirit." Hui Qing also understood, this is probably the chance that the real spirit has prepared for him. I came here to deal with the Lord of the Universe. You can move forward as soon as possible. The greater opportunity is still behind. As soon as Shang's words fell, his whole body burst out and rushed in the direction behind them, and his figure seemed to have stopped here, and finally turned into a ghost, slowly disappearing. The others were okay, but they were not surprised by the strength of shocking Shang. The Guiling Island Master and others have not seen so much, and there are even some of them who have never seen the most powerful. The Island Master of Turtle Spirit was more knowledgeable. He had once entered the Inner Sea Demon Court and met the real Demon Emperor, the absolute strongest, and there were only two strongest demons in the realm. One set up a demon court in Shihai, and the other was in Tianbei. He was a demon wolf, very low-key, he had never heard of it. For them, the absolute peak is the pinnacle. But the feeling that the one gave them just now surpassed the absolute peak. If you really want to do something with them, I am afraid that a single glance can kill most of them in a flash. Terrible. Fortunately, I didn't do anything to them. Jian Wushuang was also shocked, not because of his strength, but because of Shang's origin. All of them began to condense into a set of rules. That is not an ordinary rule, but the law of operation of the universe. This is the manifestation of the space reaching the realm of the universe. The space has reached the realm of the universe, which means that Shang is almost reaching the level of the master of the universe. Once space is broken and time is condensed, it becomes the master of the universe. Envy. Jian Wushuang had envy in his eyes. First, Hui Qing succeeded in the first step, and then he saw Shang, who was about to become the Lord of the Universe. Jian Wushuang would not envy other people, but he and Hui Qing and Shang are of the same kind, and both master the ultimate way. One day, he will also become the Emperor, even the Lord of the Universe. And now, the Emperor is fast too. The 7th level peak of the Extreme Tao, once his space reaches the realm of the black hole, it can help him enter the Extreme Tao consummation. The 8th level of Kendo, and the idea of the 9th level is also there, and it's coming soon. This time, he might also be able to go to the Taoist consummation, not far from Hedao. The Strong Road. Go! The owner of Guiling Island shouted angrily and led the crowd behind Sidu Nan and the others. Although Hui Qing has succeeded in the harmony, there is no need to go directly. The key is no turning back. It is better to keep exploring. The Emperor is not the end, after all, he has to go on. Continue toward the middle of the Silent Mountain. In the valley not far away, there is a huge ancient temple which is very old, but the breath above it rises to the sky. Palace of 3 Kings. Seeing the font size above, Jian Wushuang was overjoyed. No wonder the corpses didn't attack here. It turned out that this is the old nest of the 3 Kings. It's not that they don't attack, it's that they can't enter at all. Looking at the 3 Kings' palace in front of him, Sidu Nan threw Xiao Yin out, then looked at the Guiling Island Master and said, "Don't be froze, take the bleeding Luo Jing to open the main hall." It's up to you." Turtle Spirit Island Master was able to be tough. After knowing that the deity of Shang came, he was much more honest. "I don't dare to have any evil thoughts anymore. I just hope to be fair after entering and get some benefits. Just don't ask for how good he can make him go further." Fighting with the inheritors, he was frightened and unwilling to fight. The rest are not fools. The Shang dare to deal with the Lord of the Universe. Killing them is not a matter of blowing a breath. Don't look at the distance so far, maybe it can really kill them in one breath. Click. The stone statue outside the hall began to loosen. Everyone's hearts tightened, and the eyes of the stone statue showed a dim sheen. The strange voice sounded again. Everyone didn't understand it at all. That voice makes people yearn for. The wonderful sound from the ancient Three Kings Palace represents the inheritance of the ancient Three Kings and the supremacy of the Three Kings. The two stone statues trembled slightly, but it was a pity that the Three Kings fell in a hurry, and now even the stone statue guarding the door is damaged, and there are no two working spiritual senses inside. Among the two stone statues in front of the hall, only one of stood up slowly, and the other one did not stand up after shaking for a long time. Sorrow. A huge breath began to condense, everyone knew it was bad, and there was no time to retreat. The stone statue turned into a giant with a dog head, holding a huge axe, and smashed directly at everyone. Retreat! The owner of Guiling Island also shouted angrily. The Fifth Order Emperor by his side had already retreated far away. The combat power of the stone statue is unknown, but from the aura, it cannot be resisted without a Sixth Order Emperor. Ooh! After uttering a strange cry again, the stone statue began to shrink and its aura became weaker. The axe hit several Sixth Order Emperors, including Situ Nan. After the stone statue's breath dropped to a certain level, a 5 character appeared on its chest. Jian Wushuang recognized this name, and his eyes lit up. When King Bai deduced those names, he knew them all. 5s? What does it mean? The stone statue suddenly became smaller and its strength suddenly declined. What does this mean? Jian Wushuang stood at the back of the crowd, scanning the crowd in front. 5s? The Fifth Order Emperor? He counted it down, and now there are the most Fifth Order Emperors on the field. Understood. This stone statue is also to be ordered by people. Otherwise, relying on the strength of the Three Kings, even the puppets who guard the door can kill them at will, but being able to reduce their strength to come to the other party is obviously controlled by a certain consciousness. This is likely to be an inheritance, just like the Temple of Qishan, select inheritors. But the death of the Three Kings' court was too hasty, and they didn't prepare too much, so this stone statue blocked them. Another thing seems to be that it's too long to start. Chapter 54:28. After the dog headstone statue became smaller and weaker, an enchantment also appeared in front of the main hall, and a lot of text appeared above it. The text in each line is different. Enter one by one? Finally, among the countless lines of text, they saw a kind of text that was universal in ancient times. It probably means that everyone needs a pair of stone statues to fight against each other. Those who win will enter, but those who lose cannot enter. As for the Sixth Order Emperor, you can go in directly. No wonder the 5 characters appear on the chest of the stone statue. It turned out to be to stop the Fifth Order Emperor. Everyone glanced at each other. No one dared to take the initiative to step forward. The master of Guiling Island looked at Jian Wushuang obliquely and said indifferently, "Let your people try first." It is good. Jian Wushuang was not qualified to refute. At the moment, let a Fifth Order Peak Emperor go up and try. The Fifth Order Peak Emperor stepped out and entered the enchantment in one step, and the two sides broke out without being muddled. The Fifth Order Emperor was directly torn apart his body. The blood donation burst on the spot. Everyone nodded, satisfied. The fighting power of the stone statue is average. Among the Fifth Order Emperors, Zhen Weiyang and others can enter. For the rest, it's not that easy. But the Sixth Order Emperor was still a little worried. It is said that Tier 6 can enter, but no one can guarantee that there is no danger. This time not only the master of Guiling Island looked at Jian Wushuang, but also Situ Nan. Jian Wushuang had no choice but to say to Elder Zishan, "Elder Zishan, you go in first, since the above said that the Sixth Order Emperor can enter, there should be no problem." Then he sounded and comforted, "Everything is for the Lord God." Yes. The Elder Zishan looked firm, and entered the enchantment directly. The stone statue froze for a moment, and it didn't take a shot at the Elder Zishan. After staying for almost a breath, Zishan's figure disappeared in place, obviously entering. Situ Nan and the others breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to go in one by one. Situ Nan didn't rush in, first let the 2 Sixth Order Emperors go in, and then let Jin Weong and others go in again. There was no intention to let the Guiling Island Lord go in at all. You! Guiling Island Master was anxious. Situ Nan sneered and said, Pharaoh, what are you worried about? I didn't go in. When these little guys go in, I will go in with you again. Zhen Wuyang and the others are not weak, and it is easy to get in. But it's difficult for Guiling Island Master. Among the inheritors, even 10,000 stars can enter. When the Fourth Order Emperor enters, the stone statue will display a 4-character. This surprised Luo Chuan, the fourth prince of the Maluo kingdom. It is difficult for the Fifth Order Emperor to enter, but it is relatively easy for the Fourth Order Emperor to enter. At the same time, he glanced at the eldest Prince Rosha and leaked a sneer. It didn't take long for Luo Sha to break through the Fifth Order Emperor, and at most he had the strength of the Fifth Order peak, and he had no hope of entering. Soon the inheritors finished entering, and Situ Nan was the last one to enter. He was also afraid that the owner of Guiling Island and others would jump the wall in a hurry. Even if you dare not kill the inheritors, there is no way to stop them. So he stayed at the end. He glanced at the island master of the turtle spirit, walked directly into the enchantment, and then disappeared. The Guiling Island master and the others couldn't wait a long time ago, and they didn't care about their subordinates at all. Just like dumping dumplings, they all went in without a few breaths. Those who stay outside now are the Fifth Order Emperors. Jian Wushuang finally came to the forefront. Now on the field, the strongest is their side. He now has 9 Fifth Order Peak Emperors. On the side of the Guiling Island Lord, in addition to some emperors of the Maluo Kingdom, there are disciples of Guiling Island and some other subordinates of the Sixth Order Emperors who stayed in place. Jian Wushuang didn't dare to say to kill all of them, but it was not difficult to kill Rasha. Especially the other party still holds Gong Miaoyi in his hands. He clenched a fist gently, and Gong Miaoyi, who was following Luo Sha, frowned. Kill him or you will die. Jian Wushuang's law body hidden in Gong Miaoyi's body quietly transmitted the sound. Kill him! Kill him! Gong Miaoyi lingered, and Jian Wushuang's law body directly began to swallow. The pain that went deep into the source caused Gong Miaoyi's forehead to show cold sweat. The Fifth Order Emperor present at the scene also had a relatively high status for Luo Sha, but he did not have much confidence, so he asked others to try first, and when he found that Gong Miaoyi was wrong, he turned his head to look at Gong Miaoyi and whispered, "Why?" Gong Miaoyi leaked a smile, shook his head and said softly, "Nothing." Yep. But before Luo Sha turned around, the blood Luo Jing in Gong Miaoyi's hand passed through Luo Sha's chest. Luo Sha stared down and looked down at the shui Luo Jing that appeared on her chest. When he wanted to turn around, Jian Wushuang had already appeared in front of him. A hand knife exploded out of a 40,000-fold divine body and directly gave Luo Sha's head. Chopped it down. The body of the divine body was directly broken, leaving the source, and Jian Wushuang's body turned into a faint black hole, directly swallowing all the source of the source. All this was completed in the blink of an eye, and when everyone reacted, the 9 Fifth Order Peak Emperors had already stood around Jian Wushuang. Gee, the original taste is still as wonderful as before. These are nothing, but the key is that the arm of the candle dragon he dreamed of was overturned by the piece of arm or a piece of armor. Jian Wushuang gently placed it on his right arm. The huge attraction came from the origin of the beast god. Zhulong's arm merged with Jian Wushuang's right arm, exploding with a powerful breath. His divine body climbed again. An uncontrollable force came from his right hand, causing blue veins on his forehead to burst. Jian Wushuang directly leaked the original face. The hideous pale face, white hair wafting. The candle dragon's wings opened directly. He made a slight fist with his right hand and finally suppressed the force. The entire right arm turned dark red, and the blood-colored claws could tear the space. His arm was 50,000 times broken unilaterally. The overall divine body increased from 40,000 times to 45,000 times. Amazing! Jian Wushuang held back his curiosity, looked around and rushed towards Luo Chuan. The fourth prince, who was just surprised that Jian Wushuang killed his own brother, didn't react, and was directly squeezed by Jian Wuhua, and the source was swallowed by the huge suction in his palm. Rabbits and foxes don't understand the truth of sorrow, and they don't complain. The other fifth-order emperors on the field leaked expressions of fear. After Jian Wushuang got the arm of the candle dragon, his divine body skyrocketed, and his strength naturally rose a lot. But among these people, he is not the strongest. Don't worry, everyone, I'm just feuding against Mo Luogua, you have to go in lightly. Jian Wushuang made a request. Broly's father Bukuin was a little bit unbelievable, standing behind Broly, pulling Broly not to let him in. https:// Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication, Apex Novel Mobile Version Reading URL. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.